All right, what's up, Nightshade dude? What's up, people? Let's get going. It's Saturday. I hope you're all chillaxing and having a wonderful weekend. I am going to do a little NES coding. So we're going to go back to Bitboi. I recently added the today command, so you can actually check out, like, maybe we can cut down on so many people wondering what the heck's going on any given stream. So I can write something a little bit longer there. We'll make sure that's working though. So that's, let's take a look. Okay, yes, somebody is working. All right, Paul Blart, what's up? How you doing? All right, so, wow. Where did we leave off? We had all sorts of stuff going on. I just opened up the code directory here. So let's take a look over there, and I've got the NES palette. I was doing a tiny bit of palette work before the stream to make sure that we could change colors, and I cleaned up some of the graphics and took care of some of the boring details. Like there was an issue where the character was sort of like falling. Depending on where they jumped from, they could fall a little bit into the platform and then they get stuck because now they're colliding on all sides. So I just added a little bit of nudge code to just kind of like, yeah, if you're not quite at like the right point, then just sort of nudge the character up. The right thing to do would be to calculate your jump and your platform height so that that's impossible and then you never need to deal with that situation. I want to maintain the ability to screw around with the gravity if we want, and so that means let's just make it a little more hack friendly, and we'll just sort of nudge it. And if it ends up being annoying, we can always fix that up later. All right, so my goal here is to get into the final stages of this version of Bitboi. So I want to try to do a lot of that today, and some of it probably one more session. I'm guessing before we actually burn it into the prom. I showed the prog ROM as part of the intro entropy that Nightshade Dude disagreed with, but this was the program memory that's going to show up where the program is going to have to end up getting burned in. Call it a feature, not a bug. Easy fix. Totally, Nightshade Dude. That's the gameplay we want, right? So, all right, where do we leave off? We have a bunch of code now, and this was the acceleration curve. I was just sort of eyeballing it a little bit. We can mess with this later. I just, at the time that I wrote it on stream, I was being really careful about the downward side of the fall because I didn't want it to, like, go into a pixel. It turns out it was going into a pixel. It depends. Like you could possibly jump in like different places, and then you could jump in the middle of a jump. There were all sorts of like little edge cases I hadn't dealt with, and so I was like, you know what, screw this. Let's add a little bit of nudge code. So the nudge code just nudges it up to the top of a platform. So this was the previous collision code. It goes, oh, okay, you land on a platform, you're done. And then I said, nah, all right, you know what, we're going to mod it by 8. Because the pixels, the sprite blocks are the name table or whatever, the blocks are all 8 by 8 pixels. So I mod it by 8, and I go, if you're not on the last pixel, which is where we detect the collision, then figure out how much you're not on the last pixel by and just sort of nudge it up until it lands there. Now that led to a few like weird glitching effects where like you would sort of jump into a platform and it would pop you all the way up. I'm not super concerned with that. Again, as Nightshade Dude says, I'm calling it a feature at the moment, and we can always come back to that if we really get upset about it from a gameplay perspective. All right, so what does it look like? Well, let's just make it up. We'll give it a run. Make sure that we've got our NES stuff showing up. Yes, it is. All right, good. So, professional streamer, huh? Okay, not quite. All right, so yeah, we got our track screen, and that's cool. Things have loaded nicely, and now get ready for this. Here comes the big reveal. This was the little bit of coding I did off screen, but whoa, look at this. The enemies, the Schlorps, have made their first appearance. These are they're cat spider monsters from the original. I did not do a great job drawing it. I tried to kind of get it to look a little bit like, what it was in the original GameMaker Pro game. He still looks like he's got more of like a you know, like a Antonio Banderas kind of, you know, Zorro type mask going on there. But anyway, whatever. We're rolling with it. So, you know, code like that makes it. I know full well, Nightshade dude. That's as soon as I wrote it, I was like, you know, I wrote this as temporary. I even called the variable temp, and I was like, you know, guy, you know that's going to end up in the game. Like, hey, what's up, Marco? How's it going? Check out this. I will, but should I check it out now? Or should I get coding? I don't know. All right, we'll take a quick look because it is Marco. I don't know what I'm looking at. Is this music?
I'm a rapper, I feel music. Got a server, I abuse.
All right, I don't want to get a takedown problem, but anyway, that's pretty cool. I will definitely check this out in more detail later. All right, so, and by the way, if any of you watch Last Miles was like just, I really hope he doesn't get any copyright trouble from last night's stream. Nerdcore, totally. I will definitely check it out in more detail. I will try coding to it too. That actually reminds me, you know, let's pop up our music. So we got some new songs anyway that we had started messing around with. So I'm just gonna throw them on play. All right, let me turn that down. And by the way, let me just know how levels are when you hear it. All right, so we're gonna start off with the Become Bowling Ball. Some nerdcore. A little bit different though, no rap. A little more chippy though. I feel like we're in the right emulator space. Okay, mix is a little rich on the music side. Oh, okay, cool. Let me just back that off a little bit. Yeah, we want it to be sort of ambient, so I'll take it down here. Maybe that's too low. Yeah, let me know how that is. All right, so in the meantime, let's get, that's our nudge code. I really like that. Good. Okay, cool. So now, because we added the nudge code, we now have some nice movement. So we can move, we had collisions working, that was cool. We could sort of stay in the box. And that's, by the way, that's the load level screen. I need to really fix that. There's our note. You'll also notice that Bitboi has been colored. So I actually am using two separate palettes in order to get some different stuff going on here, but I didn't actually go too far with screwing around with the palette. It's a little tricky, and I figure like that's either a very chill stream or something I'll just worry about off stream. Cool, mate. If you want to help later, I have an interesting project that involves deep learning for fire detection. It does sound cool. To be honest, Marco, I'm sort of blown out through the rest of the year, so I am a little afraid to add on anything else. But this has been way more time consuming than I expected with streaming and consulting work and everything else going on. But thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah, no worries, Nightshade dude. I mean, it's always kind of like delayed a little bit. Okay, so why is this neat? Well, we've got jumps now. All right, and I disabled the ability to jump within jumps. So no inception jumping. You don't get to jump midair. You're in the air, you jump, you make a commitment, you're there. Now, I don't have the like sort of nice like Mario style, like you actually get to jump before you fall off the platform. You know, like you can kind of jump. So that I've actually practiced a little bit, but if you try running off and jumping, it doesn't allow that. So I think they give you like a couple frames sort of bleed before you get a jump, before it says like, nope, you can't jump, you're not standing on anything. I might implement that a little bit later, but definitely not today. I think that's more like V2 sort of stuff. So this makes it hard to jump, but it's doable, and that's cool, and we can jump up through stuff. You notice, yeah, you just saw the nudge there. That was the nudge code, that little smooth part at the end. And yes, at the moment, it does jump through the screen, so you can see his head pop up at the bottom. But I'm not too worried about that because there's not really going to be any platforms up here that you can jump from. All right, so we can run over here. We can see, we can get all the way up to our top platform, which is a nice improvement, and we can run into schlorps. And you'll notice that the transparency is working, and this was something that I completely forgot about when I was doing my palette design. So, and that's the reason why Bitboi is all red at the moment, because I don't have any more colors available for blue. I'm gonna have to figure something out there, because I don't know. I mean, it might end up just being this is the fixed palette, but and you basically always lose the first tile. So if I pull up, this is the actual like palette view that you can see. Here's Bitboi chilling out over here. He's assembled. You can see that this is where he's assembled in the scene. And yeah, so if I want to keep the keyboard red, I need to have the red color in this section and this section, or I need to make the keyboard smaller, which is kind of lame. Or I guess I could possibly move the keyboard up, but it's not really Trevor's original design. But you'll notice down here, when I actually hit one of these, like this is my palette that I have to work with. You don't actually get this color. This black is not real because this black is going to end up being transparency. So whatever color you assign here disappears. So you really only have these three colors to draw with when you're in an 8x8. So one of these blocks can only use a maximum of 3 colors. And that's a little bit of a bummer. So that definitely makes it a little bit hard. I mean, you can try palette switching. Like it's just, you only have 4 palette slots unless you start doing some real gymnastics. So, hey, what's up, Robin? How's it going? Haven't seen you around a little bit. Welcome back. So anyway, that's basically why his shirt and pants are both red at the moment. I want it to be blue, for the pants, but we're gonna have to figure out where we can steal a color from before we can do that. I even made the skin tone the same color as the keyboard white, so that's I'm understanding a little more of why Super Mario looks the way Super Mario does every time I work on this project. And then you've got the Schlorps here. I've loaded them into memory. I'm using exactly the same tile builder as before. They're only 2, it's 2x2. So you get 2 for the top, 2 for the bottom. I tried to stick to the design. And these are I'm using the score. They're currently on the sprite table. They don't need to be. We can actually put them into the background. Basically, we can burn them into the background, and then we don't have to spend any sprites if we want more sprites. So I just did that for simplicity when I was coding, so that we could move it around. I have a super random question. I was looking at your Twitter the other day. I didn't follow you yet. Oh man, I feel wounded. I saw that Barack Obama followed you. Is there a funny story there? No. I think at the time he was just following everybody who followed him. I don't really remember how that happened. I was brand new. I had a Twitter account for a while and I never used it. And then, one day I was like, all right, well, let's see what the president has to say. And then, he's like, hey, or it might've been before actually. I don't really remember. And then next thing you know, it's like Barack Obama follows you. And I was like, what? I'm like, it's probably one of his aides or something. I mean, anyway, maybe he wanted to learn C. Nice one, Lesnar. Very cool. Pretty rich question for a non-follow. Yeah, Judo, I agree. I feel like, should I really be giving you that much, Robin, if you didn't even click the follow button? I mean, it hurts. Okay, I thought maybe it was thanks for Netflix. No, it was nothing. It was nothing personal. I don't personally know Barack Obama. Although that would be a pretty fun meeting to have, actually. He's a pretty interesting guy. But anyway, that. I don't know if you've all heard Trevor Noah talking about Barack Obama, and how he developed his voice. He has a mock meeting with actually, I don't think it was mock. I think he really met. It was like this whole bit, but it's really great. And it's like you need to slow down, speaking too fast, and then you need more husk in your voice, husk. This is, anyway, it's just great. Eventually, by the end of the bit, he ends up totally in a perfect Obama impression. It's awesome. Oh, hey, you followed me since then. Well, I feel a little bit better now. Thank you. I will comment, Robin, that Obama did thank Netflix, by the way. Not me personally. He did thank Netflix for House of Cards. He was, when Reed and a bunch of other... So Reed Hastings, the CEO, former only CEO of Netflix, now he's co-CEO with Ted Sarandos. Reed went to DC and it was Obama and cabinet. I don't remember the exact meeting, but they were meeting with like a bunch of tech leaders in America. And so Google was there, Facebook was there, Apple was there, Netflix was there. And, we were kind of like, hey, cool, because we were really small at the time. And he actually meets with Reed, and then, they're all doing their politics and whatever. And then he goes, Reed, by the way, next House of Cards, is that coming out soon? Like, just, we like that here in DC. just letting you know. Anyway, I thought it was like super funny. Like that clip definitely did the rounds internally at Netflix. But no, I don't know him personally. The only politician I reached out to personally was the governor of Connecticut, when the unemployment system was failing and everybody was like trying to file to get unemployment checks and everyone was losing their jobs and markets were going nuts. And I basically offered to the governor of Connecticut, Ned Lamont, I said, hey, if you want some help, like for free, I know the system was never designed to handle this kind of load. I'm a performance engineer. Like, I'll give it to you for free. As long as I can stream it, hey, it's public code anyway, right? I figured like, hey, if I stream it, I'll just do it for free. Normally I charge good money to do performance optimization. But this, I basically was kind of like, my heart was going out to all the people that were, hitting on hard times. And I was like, I could do something about this. They were complaining no one could handle the unemployment system. And I was like, I'm here and it'll cost you nothing. And they said no. They actually didn't really say anything. I was like, no wonder government's so screwed up. Here I am, like, lecturing, like, stuff at, like, performance at scale, big top tech companies, all sorts of, like, assembly optimizations, everything. I'm like, I can make this faster. I will take the challenge on that. I'll do it live. I can make this code faster. I can make it work for free. And they're like, no. So there's an interesting retrospective in that we're all going to have to talk about one day, because I need to understand how I did that wrong. Like, was I supposed to just come in and be like, it's going to cost you $1 billion, but I'll speed your system up? And then they'd be like, okay, here's $1 billion, and then just give it to charity or something. Well, maybe not all of it, it'd be nice to keep a little bit, but Judo Panda Pants, I honestly think that's probably where I screwed up. They probably didn't think it was serious because I didn't charge enough money. If it is slow, your program is doing too much. Deletes all the code. No, Robin, I'm very good at speeding up existing code in the terrible state it's in. I usually refer to performance engineering as digital janitor work, because you're basically taking out the trash. You're like, the devs are gone, whatever the ideas were, whatever pressure management put them on, all of that is a past story, and now you've just got this really important pile of code and it's got trash everywhere. And so it's kind of a lot of the performance work is sort of like getting at the parts that are like really the problem and speeding them up and taking all the garbage out. But it's not beautiful. It's not. Some of the worst code bases I went into, I actually put latex. This happened at Netflix. I put latex gloves on, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to go into this code base. Like, it's dirty work. Is this the famous COBOL code base that was making the rounds during spring? Yes, this was actually that, Lesnar. There's actually a clip down below that'll show you, because I actually added some COBOL code to Netflix as part of a trolling thing. It turns out when you're trolling with COBOL, it's called Trobol. So I was writing some Trobol. Anyway, I was like, all right, I can seriously fix your COBOL. But anyway, Judo Panda Pants, I think you're totally right. I think there's a workflow to how government works. I've been in the commercial sector basically my whole life. I have no idea how the sausage gets made, as it were. But and I probably don't want to know when I look at some of the government websites. But anyway, let's get to our pile of digital janitorial work here, and let's not worry about that. Moral of the story: it turns out, first attempt offering free performance optimization to the government in need, not the right move. I mean, at the time, they were just complaining in the press. And I pay taxes in Connecticut, right? So it's like constantly like, oh, we don't have enough budget. We don't we can't do all this stuff because it's going to cost us tens of millions of dollars to speed this stuff up. And I'm like, I'll do it for free. This people's living off this. This is economic collapse. Trust me, I'm okay with this. I'll sleep well at night if I do this. And anyway, whatever, it didn't happen. So we'll come back to that later. That's how my job with inventory analysis has been lately. I've thought about changing my status to overheating sanitation engineer to match the situation I'm in. Yeah. Yep, that's a good one. Yeah, that's the dumpster fire. That's part of why one of my first emotes was a dumpster fire. I've just looked at too much code at this point. Hey, what's up, Fafi? How you doing? Good to see you. All right. Well, all the fashionable people are here today. All right, so let's get coding. That's enough of the government sector. Let's worry about the commercial sector. Actually, I don't even know what Twitch is. Is this the commercial sector, or is this... No comment on the Twitch monetization. All right, so we come over here, and we've got our basic physics, working, and that's fine. So the key thing is, and what I wrote in the go live notification, is there's no game yet, right? We've worked on physics, we worked on collisions, we finally dropped in something that looks like the right sprites, but we don't have a game, right? And the basic gameplay from watching the video that this is based on, which, by the way, there's a bot command for that. I think it's Bitboi. It is. Okay, sweet. The basic gameplay is you're Bitboi. This is Trevor, basically. And you come into this world, and you're supposed to these are supposed to be Legos, so I just approximated them with blue blocks. And you kind of run around, and there's notes sitting on the ground. And you have to pick these notes up. I guess that's kind of like coin mechanic in most games of this era. And so you kind of run around, you pick the coins up, and then the counter sort of ticks up as you pick up the coins. And when you hit a certain level of... They're bits, right? And, his stream is 88-bit music, so it's some play on 88 bits, 88 keys in a piano. And so when you hit some number, and I don't think it's as high as 88. I mean, I think it's more like 10 or 15 or something like that. And you manage to collect them, then a door opens up over here. I sort of left a space for the door, but this is where the door opens up. You go through the door, and then you're on to the next level. So I thought today, let's focus on that gameplay stuff. So let's start using these counters. Right now, this counter is being used for collision detection. It's showing you which side is being collided. So here, I'm colliding left and bottom. If I come over here, I'm colliding right and bottom. And when I'm moving on the platform, I'm colliding bottom, which is fine. So we were using this for debugging, but let's actually turn this into what it's actually for. Let's use it for bit counting. I'm using this for debugging as well. This is currently the Y value. So what we can do is, I think we'll change Y value to the one on the left, because that might be useful to just keep a debug counter. And then we'll actually start counting score on the one on the right. And that's probably going to make it into the final product. Okay, so great. Let's do that. That comes from display. Oh, I didn't get the job. Oh, I got to the last interview, but then the owner said there was another person that fit the role closer. Fafi, you can't be upset about that. That's actually great. That's just, so much of business it has nothing to do with us. We always think we take it as a reflection on us. Oh, I should have done better. Oh, I could have done this. So much of it is just random or whatever happens to be going on in the world of the interviewers or the company at the time, and whether or not we know that. I've gotten behind the scenes in so many job interviews where I failed, and people told me kind of off the record it turned out this dude came along and he was the boss's son, or this other guy showed up and he knew every one of the technologies that we listed in the job because he got laid off from some other company. And so, it's like that's not a personal reason. Like, I mean, like if it's something like, you know, you just completely like forgot how to code or something. I mean, that gets into more into like, you know, why I think coding interviews are terrible. But, you know, like, you know, let's say you just like locked up one day and you puked on the desk and then you ran out and you didn't get the job. It's like, okay, I mean, that's going to happen. But I mean, I wouldn't feel upset about that happening. That's like, you know, you try it enough times, you're going to get like exactly the job you want. And you're all studied up too. Yeah, to be totally frank, some dude shows up and knows exactly what they're looking for. Free market says they should get the... Yeah, I agree, Judo Panda Pants. I mean, and especially in a down economy, more and more... I noticed this the first time in like the .com bust, but, you know, when there's a lot of programmers competing for the same job, and the skills all look approximately the same, and then one person comes basically from the competitor of the company that you're trying to get a job at, and they know exactly the thing, like, they're going to get the job. I mean, like the company's going to go, well, I'd rather bet on them because they built it. Even if I don't like them, they built it, and you're smart, but you're just smart. You know, like it's going to happen. So, I mean, it's all about, yeah, I completely agree with the sentiment. Like, it's all about colliding with the right opportunity. Like, you just keep at it. You'll hit it. Logically, I know that. But, yeah, I mean, it's easy to get, like, really into a particular position. You're like, you know, especially when you see it, you're like, I see myself doing this. Like, and then it ends up like, whatever. I would not be upset about that, though. Yeah, I mean, I would say that just means keep looking, you know, if you don't like your current position. Yeah, you're eventually going to find your Disney princess, so don't you worry. I don't disagree with Judo on this, but I that's quite an analogy. All right, so yeah, let's use score for score, and let's use display indicators for the sprite. So we're going to go flip these. I'm just going to write a 0 into here for the moment, and we're going to call this, I don't even know why we were doing that, so we're just going to toss that. Let's just take this and use that for the debug information. All right, so let's see if we broke anything real fast. So come over here. Okay, so looks like we got Y in the right spot. Yep, Y's in the right spot. We got 0 on the score. Cool. So our job now is to get score. All right, so we need some score. We need a score variable. Let's just check if we have one before I go burning more memory. Nope, I'm not tracking score at all. There's no way to get a score. So let's go and give ourselves a score. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna pull this out as global, which I know Last Miles would approve of. And I'm just gonna take this as nothing, and we're gonna pop nothing in here. And this is just gonna be bound to score from now on. So we're not gonna use it for debugging, we'll use the other one. We can always change that if we need to. So we don't need to pass anything in anymore. This is cool, and of course I need to get faster at that if we're gonna loop through it. All right, so come here and score is set to 0. There's currently no way to get score. So let's just add a quick keybind to make sure that this is working the way we expect it to. So I'll just go with every time you shoot, I don't know, let's reuse something. Oh, you know what? I pulled pad down out, so I'll just add pad down. All right, so if we don't need pad down anymore. We don't need to press down because we've got the we've got jump physics now. So I just left it out. I didn't believe it was going to work, and it did. So let's just go with that's gone, and if you get pad down, then we'll just increment the score. All right, so very simple. That's going to jump by a lot because I'm not debouncing it or anything like that. Okay, so that's not good. why is it resetting it to 0? That's interesting. This is one global. Aha, because I'm chomping it up in here. So we're gonna need to burn something else. So let's just say that this is the working score. And we're just gonna quickly change this. Because I need to decimate this counter. So we're gonna go, the working score is really just whatever score is at the start of this routine. And we're gonna take this score and we're gonna do quick refactor and check that we didn't do harm with our regular expression. Okay, so yeah, okay, so I press down, counter's going up, counter will overflow if we hit 255, that's cool. All right, we don't really care, there's not that many bits on the screen. Okay, so now our goal is to basically get that thing to work based on, you know, note blocks. So we're gonna need a note block, and I think, I don't know if I have anything loaded in the sprite table right now, but that's a good question. So what are we gonna use for a note? So we've got the sideways note, which is used for bullet mechanics. But you know what, I don't want to get into, let's not turn this into an art stream for right now, so let's just draw it with one of the something else that looks note-like. I guess a B looks like a note that's inverted. D, this is basically a note with a tag, right, is a D. So all right, so it's sitting at tile index 64 hex. So let's draw. Okay, now we're gonna have to start making some choices because notes, we're not gonna be able to burn sprites. We don't have enough sprites to put like one note. Each note is gonna be in a sprite. Not only are we not gonna be able to, you only get 6 sprites in a line on the NES maximum. And you gotta keep in mind, like you've got, usually you burn another one for hit detect. But like, so these are actually gonna have to bake into the background. So right now, I don't have them baked. So we have a couple choices. One is, well, so the level design is actually just a 2-bit structure. It's black and white, right? So it's basically, there's either a platform there or not, and I use that to compress it down. So I don't want to bake it necessarily, but like that would be the easy thing to do. I really don't want to touch that thing. Let's just put that in a separate data structure, and we're just going to like blit it back out. So we'll say that wherever notes, we'll just make a list of notes. We can always get more efficient later if we need to. All right, so we need a little note matrix. So let's go with, all right, start with a simple implementation. So let's say that we have a note which needs to have an X and a Y. And, well, you know, before we build the data structure, let's just make sure that we can draw a note. Okay, so we'll start with that. So because we're drawing on the name table, by the way, is the background. So this blue stuff is all sitting in the name table. It gets reused for the sprite hardware as well. But basically, you can think of like, generally when I'm referring to the name table, I'm going to be talking about the background of the game. So let's go with, so we need to wait for the NMI. Whoops. I'm going to close this. So we want tile 64. Okay, so this is the NMI. So that's this basically triggers when the PPU is the graphics unit on the NES. So when this hits the bottom of the screen, that's called the blank interval. That's the only time you can change the name table safely. In all cases, like there's other tricks you can do to change it. You can race the beam if you want to be kind of Atari-like, but if you want to safely update the name table, then you wait until the scan line hits the bottom of the screen, and then you have a little bit of room there on the bottom. I think it's like 40 lines or something. And as long as you do your graphical updates in there, the graphics won't glitch. So that's why I try to put as much code as possible above this, which is manipulating the state. So above this, we would manipulate where we want the note blocks to be. But down here, we would actually want to draw anything that's in a note block on the screen. Okay, so yeah, let's say that we'll go with, I mean, it's in this area. So let's say like draw notes. Okay, so let's put it near wherever draw enemies is. All right, so that's here. Now this stuff is in the sprite hardware. The sprite hardware you can mess with whenever you feel like, but the name table, like background stuff, you can't. So go with draw notes. And we're gonna just hard code for the moment a single note. So let's say that we want this to show up. So we want 64, its tile is 64, and yeah, let's just draw it at some random XY, like whatever. Now, by the way, this is in so because we're not using the sprite hardware, this has to be on an 8x8 block boundary. Like we can't just drop it into the middle of a tile. The sprite hardware is continuous in the pixel sense, so like you can put a sprite at any pixel location, but you can't do that with the background stuff. Is that running in an emulator? Yes, I'm using the Messin emulator, which is, it's not like it's the best emulator or anything. It's a nice emulator, but its main feature is that it's got lots of nice debugging features. So you can look into like the NES simulation, you can look at the memory, you can look at the PPU. It's really nice from a like homebrew kind of perspective. And by the way, when I asked him, Zorkenheimer agrees with me on that. He's like, yeah, Messin is pretty solid on the dev side. Before we actually tried burning it into a real ROM, which, you know, is a little hard, we're probably going to test it on a few different emulators to see if it looks copacetic everywhere. But we don't want to just like, you know, burn chips willy-nilly, because once I burn the chip, it's not, I can re-erase the EEPROM, but the problem is I'm going to have to like destroy the pins to get it to fit on the board, because they didn't use the standard like JDEC EEPROM format. So like the pinout is intentionally different. That was a security measure from Nintendo. All right, so we want to at least know that we have a reasonable candidate. Like I mean, I don't mind ripping through a few chips, but like let's have it pretty close to like a release. Let's have at least a release candidate. Okay, so how do you draw on this thing? Well, there is, if I go into the globals, you're going to see this stuff. And this is kind of what I need to update the name table. So if I want to mess with the name table, I need to write into one of these locations. And what I can kind of do is these are offsets. So this is the significant byte, most significant byte, least significant byte, and that's how you pass it into the PPU to like do name table updates. So you have to basically say like, take the top side of it and then take the bottom side of it. So these two numbers had better match like on a given line, because it's basically saying like take the first one and then take the second one. So on one line, like take the 8 for the X and take the 7 for the Y is basically what this corresponds to. And this here at the end means which tile we're going to use. So at the moment, I don't believe I'm using this at all. I think that I left it in there. Yeah, I was using it originally. But it's not being used at the moment. I just set that this was where the update list would be, and I filled in sort of an empty list. So what we can do is we can start actually like putting stuff in it. So I think that's probably our first move. So let's actually go back. Let's not zero this. Look at me thinking Python. So let's go with this. It goes until the EOF, which now we're not going to do because there's an EOF sitting at the bottom of this data structure, so it knows how big it is. And then it's going to set that as the VRAM update. So as long as we update these entries not during NMI, then it should write it at the right time. So let's just give that a try. Okay, so first I'm going to just re-enable the list. I haven't done this, I think, since I've never done it on BitBoi. So it's been at least 2 years since I've run this routine. Actually, no, it's been about 4 years since I've run this routine. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it didn't quite work. All right, let's, where are we actually getting that? So statement has no effect, 118. Oh, I think I started writing this, right? Okay, so we're gonna forget about that for the moment. Okay, so this is the name table update here. So we should be able, that's the, by the way, that's the top left of BitBoi's head. So it's taking what's at sprite 80. But we're going to take what's at sprite 64. So let's come down here, just quickly hack this into 64. So the first one will be different. It should be a D if we get that right. Yeah, it is. There's our D. So our D is showing up. We're cool. All right, so this routine is working. So what we're going to do is we're going to zero this list. Yeah, you know what? I don't really want it to do that on the attract screen, do I? But, well, what we could do is we could just pile all these on top of each other, and, you know, we're going to do some code dirtiness here. Okay, so don't watch. If you have small children, the next scene is inappropriate for their young coding eyes. Okay, so I'm going to have a 0 value, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these. Okay, so I'm going to just ditch these, and let's paste out 6 of these. And I think I'm off by 1. Yeah, that's 6. Okay, so right. Now I'm clearing this top left block is basically what I'm doing on that. But what we can do is we can now start changing it. So let's do that. Let's come here into list, and let's take the first entry, and we're gonna set it so we're gonna we can't actually do that. We have to go like yeah, all right, well, we'll worry about that in a minute. So at the first entry, we're going to say that this gets MSB NT address A. So this is name table A, which is like the first bank of memory. And we're going to change it to, let's use 15 by 15. And so now we're going to take the least significant byte. So that's how we start this. We do that, and off by 1, we're going to go 0 plus 1 so that we remember later on when we're doing some math. Just to get it to line up, I'm going to add 0 here. Now, these are compile times, so they actually don't cost us anything at the moment. These two should be the same address, and then list the third one, so add 2, should be which tile we want. So let's set that to 64. Oops, what did I do wrong? Unterminated argument list involving this macro. Did I not? I didn't balance these. Okay. Okay, so when we do that, our D gets drawn where we want it to be. Now this is, keep in mind, this is in tile coordinates. So let me make it different so that we can see that we're getting what we're getting. Excuse me. So it should be XY. So let's leave it like 3 rows down. Yep. Okay, so this is showing up 15 over and 3 down. Cool. Hey, what's up, Math Fisher? Good day. Yeah, you know, I was actually just thinking before the stream, I'm liking this Saturday stream thing. I think it's kind of a chill session. It's not like late at night and, you know, whatever. It's kind of nice. I mean, I can't see myself doing it forever on Saturdays. And it's just, you know, when things get back to normal after, you know, there's a cure and whatever, like I'm going to probably start wandering around a bit on the weekends. But, you know, in the meantime, this is really nice. I do enjoy doing these like Saturday afternoon things. Okay. How's your day going, by the way? Notice we've grown the followers a little bit. We're sneaking up on 500 followers, which, wow. I feel like it was yesterday and it was like 10. But that's all the streaming hours talking there. All right, so we know how to write a D. The D is not in the first screen. If I reset this thing. Yeah, so we're not seeing the D here, but as soon as we call our routine, yeah, D starts showing up. So that's cool. So our job here is really to draw plenty of these. So let's start with, let's have an unsigned here. We're going to call this the list offset, and right now I'm going to pin that to 0. I just want to variabilize the 0. So we're going to make this actually cost something. And you know what I'm going to do? We don't need it. We can actually just kind of rip through. We don't need to really save it. So it's sufficient for us to do a list offset and then with a post increment. So we'll just kind of move through that way. So wherever you start list offset, it's just going to keep incrementing. So all right, so let's go look at that. Yeah, okay, that's still cool. All right, so if we want to add a few of these, let's, you know, we can actually start working out our tile stuff, because what we basically need to do is, I'm actually fine. What we can do, because we can pre-calculate the MSB and the LSB macros. So interesting. What I'm just thinking is, what we really want is like a mem copy here, because that'll be the fastest thing. Now, draw notes, by the way, I want to say that draw notes is happening after NMI, which, now just to show you what happens if I don't wait for NMI, I think that draw list only gets, I'm not sure, it might actually get drawn. I forget if they tied it. Okay, so we're actually okay here. I'd have to go look at the way that Shiro implemented this, but I want to say that if you don't change the list, like the size of the draw list, that you can set the numbers to anything you want in the middle of the scene, and then at the bottom, he'll basically just blit that out to, you know, the name table updates. So we actually can change it in the middle of the scene, which is cool. So yeah, let's go and do that. Let's put some real note locations. So of course I shut the emulator. I was just opening the emulator to look at where we should put it. Okay, so let's start off with yeah, let's look at our PPU debug. And this is our chart here. So let's just say that we want one like here. So this is 812. So let's see if that works. All right, so that's like 8. come over here and get rid of that. Okay, so that puts it like just on the edge of that platform, which is cool. All right. I'm gonna pop on some of our older music that we like. We'll switch the order up a little bit. I'm gonna have to write a randomizer for this. Using mPlayer, by the way. Okay, so, oops. Yeah, let's close this. Oh, actually, you know what? Before we close it, let's look at where we want some other tiles to go. So, let's say one here. So that's 115. You know what I can do? I can edit this down here so that we can see both at the same time. All right, so let's do that, and let's go with like, what did I just say? 115. Okay, so let's go with 115, and let's put one. How about here? 19.9. And let's see, we got 3 more. One, 2, 3. I'll mop up the spaghetti code later. Famous last words, right? Okay, so we'll put one that's a little harder to get, like 2, 4. Oops. No, see, these have to be the same number. Okay, and this will be like something dangerous. 24.5. Uh-oh, you know what I did? I deleted a good one. Let's just take that up here. Whoops. And all right, one more. Let's do something evil. We'll put it with the schlorps. So like 27.11. All right, let's see what that does. Close this up, and we'll close this up. Okay, so now we have some Ds that are in some interesting locations. Okay, now the advantage of leaving the schlorps on the sprite plane is that I don't have to deal with collisions, right? Because if I put them on the background, then if a schlorp walks over a D, I have to remember to put the D back after the schlorp walks over it. So this puts them kind of, you know, actually it's starting to look like a game, isn't it? That's freaky how it just... It's like, I want to play. So here's our D. See, the sprite can intersect. The hardware will take care of if you have a sprite intersecting with a background tile. If you set the transparency, which we do. And so we can... So we got to make it happen, right? We got to actually collect these things. So this needs to end up in a data structure. We can't just do this nonsense. I'm just wondering how we want to store this in memory. So simplifying assumption for now is we make 6 of these, right? So as long as there's 6, then we know we can update on the name table. There's a limit to how many name table entries you can update before you run out of time in the VBlank region. So we're going to assume that 6 is safe for the moment, and let's just cap it at 6. So what we need is an array of 6 for these, right? And it's got to be 2 dimensions because we need the X and the Y. So let's go with unsigned care and singed. No, I'm going to singe this care. Okay, so unsigned care notes, and we're going to call that, it's going to be one of these. And yeah, let's get some boss music here. All right, so we'll just throw this out, and we'll throw that out. Okay, so if let's just get this loop started for I. We're gonna need an I. Actually, do we need an I? Can we just use list offset? All right, you know what? I'll optimize later. Unsigned care, I, being silly. I is less than 1, and let's just do the first one. And let's get this right. So instead of that, we're gonna do notes sub I, and this will be notes sub I plus 1. So I know I'm not being terribly memory efficient, which will burn you on the NES, but anyway, that'll get us going. Of course, I can't keep writing over by 1, so let's just handle the incrementing ourselves. So we could save ourselves some trouble if we just multiply this by 2. Again, it's compile time, so we're not worried about it. Why do we want to write that out? It's really 2 times the size, which would be like, yeah, okay, the size is currently 1, so we'll figure that out. You know what? I'll define it. This will just be 6. And hey, Carl Vandergeest, thank you for the follow, much appreciated. So let's go with num notes, and that's a nice little memory overflow there. So let's make this 1. And let's come. Welcome to the party. You want a little 8-bit NES programming action? So we're gonna do, let's see, this thing, and then what we could do is we could just sort of carry our own increments. So post increment, that leaves us in the right spot. It's almost right with list offset, but then we're gonna have to remember to subtract 1 for each one, so whatever. Okay, so right, so I have no increment on my 4. Okay, so that should potentially work. Let's take a look. Let's see if we get the first one. Oh, uh-oh. 127, huh? What's wrong? Oh, you're not allowed to use that. This is an old C compiler, so you can't. All variable declarations have to be at the top. No ifs, ands, or buts. Okay, so if I do that, I don't really need this, then I can really just use a while loop, but yeah. By the way, let me know if I'm saying your name wrong. Vandergeest. Okay, so the first one, where did we locate the first one? I don't even remember now. 812. Okay, so that was, what was that? 8, 12. Yeah, it's here. Okay, cool. So we should be able to modify this then. So we can just do this for all of our values. I'll just pop this up here and we'll do some regular expression badness to take care of it. All right, so let's just toss this, and we're going to toss that. All right, I'll leave the spacing. And we're going to toss that, and we're going to toss that. No. And we're going to toss that. Okay, so let's take these, and let's just throw out list. That's probably a special character. Well, we know it's always list offset plus plus. That's probably a special character. And that, yeah. Replace it with nothing. Okay, good things happen. So we do that, and then we're just gonna quickly throw out this semicolon in favor of a comma. Okay, I'll take care of the last one. So that gives us 6 note blocks, so we bump up num notes. Num notes. That's funny. Okay, and we run it again. Hey, all right, all our notes show up in the same spot. Now they're bound into an array. Cool. Ertuga. Hey, SomeCodingGuy. I just noticed it. I was gifted a sub from you 4 days ago. Thanks. You are welcome. I was celebrating that I just got my... Twitch told me that they're paying me my first Twitch check, and I said, hey, let's celebrate by spending the check. So I gave out some gift subs. That was a fun stream, though. That was a good night. Well, you get some of the best emotes on Twitch for the moment for programming Twitch. You have the no regular expression, which you all could have just slapped me with while I was regexing that code, although I don't have an issue with it in ad hoc usage. And you also get some, the other ones, Cam let me know that they were only available at higher tiers. So what I did was I finally unlocked some more emote slots, so I moved them into lower tiers. So as soon as Twitch approves them, which they took almost a week last time, but whenever Twitch approves them, you're going to get a bunch of other really cool emotes like, let's see, what do you get? You get the, oh yeah, you get the dumpster fire, which I like, which applies to a lot of code. And you get this is fine, which is, they're good. I think they're good programming emotes. So anyway, those are in the pipeline. They're coming. You're also going to get JSON sweating, which I think is going to be fun to go hit Primogen with, but we'll get to that later. Okay, so that's our 6. Yeah, we're basically good there. So what's nice is this can all be calculated ahead of time, so there's no real issue there. It is going to burn the memory, though, of these XYs. So, all right, we're throwing 12 bytes away. I'm throwing more away in other parts of the program, so we'll deal with that later. Too bad I missed that stream. Yeah, that was a super fun stream. There was Last Miles has been clipping it relentlessly, playing it back relentlessly on his channel. But there was a pretty interesting stream. Fun things happen when I start drinking the bourbon. So I was having the bourbon that night, and yeah. Anyway, so nothing else to say about that. So I won't. All right. So cool. We have notes showing up, and now they're burned into the background. Oh, and DJ Voleur, thank you for the follow. I'm terrible. My French is terrible. DJ Voleur. Voleur. Yeah, you don't say the end of it in French. Hey, what's up? Thanks for the follow. Much appreciated. So, right. Do you have to play the notes? No, that's actually from 88-bit music. This whole game is based on 88-bit music. So you can see the clip where I explain it here, or you can go check out. This guy is great, Trevor. He specializes in live performance video game music, which I think is very cool that people specialize in that nowadays, but he really knows how to play like just fantastic piano. So he originally made a GameMaker Pro game, which we're sort of porting over to the NES for reasons. So he also has the most ridiculously over-engineered alert available on Twitch, which you can see someday. It's really kind of amazing. In fact, if he's up later, if he's I don't know if he's streaming today. I didn't check his schedule, but we'll probably raid into him later. Yeah, he's super good. I mean, you can name basically any video game. He can sight read anything. So if you just throw him like some sheet music, he's got this little request system. It's pretty sweet. He'll sight read it. He's really good at it. People challenge him all the time, and he's just very good at it. It's funny when you ask him the story. It's like, why? Like, how'd you get so good at sight reading? And if he opens up about it, he'll be like, yeah, I was a kid, and I realized like it was a lot of work to practice. So I thought, well, if I just get good at sight reading, then no problem, right? So that's totally why he got good at sight reading. If I was gonna break him into one of the programmer genres, I'd put him in the lazy programmer genre, who just masters most of the tools to optimize like not having to write a lot of code, and very, very clever dude. But yeah, super good. We might even play a little bit of his music if he didn't get me into too much. I asked him the last time I played something, and he was like, oh yeah, it's fine. Yeah. I think if I just do it occasionally, he's probably fine with it. So anyway, let's see. What are we doing with this? We got our D. Don't clip that. I should have realized that, and we're just going to change that. That's what we're going to do. That shouldn't be a D anymore. I just walked into that one, didn't I? Okay, so look at that. Notes are all B's now. So yeah, I know. I am going to get to it, Marco. I've just been too busy. I actually have a pretty sweet redemption that's coming out soon, so you will see it soon. I just have to finish Bitboi first, which, yeah, we're gonna finish Bitboi. Okay, so the notes are in places. We have a little bit of a game now that we can start working with. So yeah, so our next step is really going to be to detect, did you collide with a note? And if you did collide with a note, let's make it disappear and bump the score up. So right now the score is just bumping up whenever I press down, but yeah, let's go actually do that. So we're also going to need, what's interesting? I just noticed the top left block disappeared. Is that because I just used up all the... Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's because I'm fully specifying all the note blocks, I guess. So this is no longer disappearing up here in the top left because we're actually using all of the memory before we go anywhere with it. All right, cool. Actually, it might have to do with order of operations because now I'm setting it before the draw happens, before the NMI. So I'm resetting what was on the initial screen at the right time. So really this should be in like a level load type place. Okay, what we need to do is we need to deal with if the note has already been collected. So we're going to need some memory. Either we burn more memory for that, or we can just reset the location to 0. So I feel like we're just going to go with if the first one's 0, then don't show it. So the problem with that is that's not actually going to work, because I can't change the size of the list without reinitializing the name table hardware. So what I can do is I can basically say, we know that we've zeroed everything, so I can just set it to like the Lego block, and we'll just write the Lego block on top of the Lego block. So effectively the note will disappear. Hey, Into the Unknown, subscribe to Tier 1. Thank you very much for that subscription. That's much appreciated. Of course, if we make it so that you can jump into that location, you'll have a way of, this is the cheat code here. Is like you'll be able to jump into the hidden location and collect as many notes as you want. But we got to put some Easter eggs in the game somewhere, right? Yep, I like your channel. Well, that is much appreciated, Into Unknown. I do appreciate that. It's live coding Twitch is a pretty small community, so yeah, the support is appreciated. You're also the 99th sub, which is a very good number over in the Far East. So that you're going to have some good fortune, I believe. 715-209, how are you? Good to see you. When did I get a sub? I took care of you, man. Actually, you don't have a sub, do you? Maybe I didn't take care of you. I don't want to give away the 100th sub. Oh, yeah, you totally do have it. Yeah, that's my bad. Okay. I remember giving my mods subs at one point. I don't... It's a little hazy, and I'm going to blame that on the bourbon. But... All right, so the way we're going to if this out is let's just use the Lego block. So right now, the Lego block is in the... It's not in the sprite table because it's background. It's right here. So it's location 87, and I know I'm going to forget that. So let's take a quick look for 87. This is where we actually do it. So I'm going to just define that real quick, which will be Lego block. It's Lego's copyright. Okay, so let's say tile platform block. Okay, I don't want to get in trouble with a certain Scandinavian corporation. All right, so we're going to call that platform block tile. All right, there you go. And we'll just throw in a platform block tile here. So that's our only 87. And then when I do my draw, whatever I was drawing, draw notes, then I can say that this will be, all right, so if something, then don't do that. Otherwise, do that. So this will be the platform block tile, and otherwise do the thing. All right, so that'll turn everything, every note into a platform block if we got it right. So I'm just going to close that. Oops, sorry, I left that up. And we're going to close this. 100th sub? What happened here? Carl Vandergeest! You are the 100th sub on Coding with Some Guy on the SomeCodingGuy channel. Thank you very much for your subscription and enjoy the 100th. I feel like you deserve an award. I don't have an award. You get to see this crazy code, I guess. But thank you very much for the sub. That's appreciated. You do get some of the greatest emotes on Twitch, programming Twitch. There are some other good ones out there. I've subbed, I'm not going to lie, I have subbed just to get those cool emotes. Yeah, the big hundo. Okay, so you can see where now these blocks have all turned into background. That's fine. So we need to come up with a condition for this. Learn to make NES games is reward enough. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know if I said it in the previous description. This is based mostly on NESlib. I'm using a version, and I'm using CC65, which is it's kind of an old C compiler that can compile down to 6502. It makes 6502 assembly, and then you can use that with CA65 to link it. And that's actually what I'm doing here in my make file. So I'm starting with CC65 on main, and then this dumps out, you know, what corresponds to it. Then I end up with this .s, which is the assembly file. I assemble it, CA65, I end up with the machine object, main.o. That gets linked together with everything else to build my actual NES cartridge. And the trick with that is you need to follow a custom linker map. This is all a little bit over. I mean, we might do a deep dive series on how all this works, but I think there's a lot of resources available on the internet. So like Nerdy Nights is really good for getting started with this. I don't have a link for it though. I don't think. Nerdy Nights. No, I don't. But anyway, we could oh, you know what? I'll just go dig it up. Somebody. Oh, you know what? It's the original site is down, but somebody mirrored it. Let's see if I have it handy. Yeah, there it is. Where is you know what? It's on my blog. I know where I have it. So this was where I talked about how we did Netflix on the original Nintendo, and I mentioned that when I was getting started with it, I learned from Nerdy Nights, and this link went dead last time I published the site, so I had to find somebody who had a mirror. This is it. This is the nice mirror. So I'll just drop that link in here. Yeah, this is a pretty good intro to working with Nintendo NES development. This doesn't focus too much. What you really want is Shiru stuff for C code, but this does cover like basic NES programming. Yep. Cool. See, went out of my way because you're the 100th sub. There you go. So, Carl, our 100th sub. I feel that's great. Okay, so let's turn these back selectively into their right blocks. And the way we're doing that, right now I'm using, normally on block 62 for note blocks, but I want to make them disappear in this case. In order to do that, I'm actually going to have to do this if earlier on, because in the case where, yeah, so like in the case where the block, the note block is visible, then I want to actually move it into the right place on the screen. But in the case where the note block is invisible, actually, you know what, I could just reset it. Okay, so you know what, I could cheat. I could say if my condition could be if list of list offset is 0. So basically, if it's been put onto the top line, and we could just burn the top line and say if it's on the top line, it's not really in play, then this part we can actually leave common to both. But if it's been moved to the 0 block, then it's going to disappear. All right, so there we go. Another nerd song. Yeah, I don't want to play too much like anything that's copyright stuff, but I am adding this stuff to a nice queue. I actually wrestled with having a music channel on, because I feel like coding. Yeah, I do have a coding music channel on the Discord, so I'm gonna just drop both of these in there. To be checked out from Marco. Okay, so I'm gonna put those in here. All right. So, okay, this is cool. All right, so what are we doing? We are here. I am going to restart our music though, because see, it's as much music as you buy, you always run out of it. I think I've been working this musician a little bit to death, so I feel bad. He's super cool, but I don't want to burn him out either. Yeah, let's do this and that. I'm just gonna mix up the order a little bit because we've actually played all this stuff. That and come busy. There we go. All right. Okay. So if it's set to 0, then we need it to disappear. So right now, basically everything should be good. We're fine, although we are falling a little bit through on the list. Is this supposed to be 5, 6? Okay, I've got 6 on there, but I'm also getting the empty draw. So I'm wondering if oops. That is related to an off by 2 error. Oh, that's what happens when you draw on the name table during an NMI. So here I'm actually, this loop ran away, so I end up still drawing, but not during the non-maskable interrupts, the V-blank region, so bad stuff happens to the NES. So we're going to shut that off. And this definitely does want to be what I thought it was. Okay, so I'm not exactly sure why we're getting that blank block there, but it's definitely related to what we've been writing. Okay, so we'll worry about that later. It's probably like I didn't do it at level init time, so I'll leave it to do. Set this up at level init time, getting a black block, upper left. All right, so we'll to do that. It's not the hardware where you have memory leak. Yeah, there's, I mean, memory leak, it basically just, it'll run anything. I mean, there's no OS or anything to overwrite. I mean, everything's just on the ROM. Untimed IRQ. Yeah, I mean, it's exactly an IRQ problem, right? Because the non-maskable interrupt is the IRQ line. And so basically, if you draw when you're in the middle of the screen, then it'll visually glitch. And since that loop ran away from me, bad stuff happens. Oh, M4x4 84. Thank you for the follow. I hope I parsed that right. M4x4 84. M4x4 84. I'm going to go with that one. See if I chop those numbers up right. Okay, so thanks for the follow. Much appreciated. Let's see. Visual glitching is always fun to look at on an NES. Okay, so let's try resetting one of these. So let's make it so that I could use down. All right, so you know what I'll do is I'll just use down. So let's go jump to pad down. And, oh. Sorry. Okay, so here we're just incrementing the score, but what we could do is we could also blow away the first note block. So I'm just gonna split this. And let's go look at draw note again, and that was it. So this array here, let's set the first one to 0. So this will be in notes 0, set to 0 on a pad down. All right, so we run that. When I press down, one of these is supposed to disappear. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. None of them disappeared. Okay, so that's not quite right. Huh. All right, so if the list offset, oh, I'm doing which one we're on. Which is okay because but I've already moved it. Yeah, see, this is what you run into. All right. So let's go with we'll just copy it. That's the easy thing to do. I can get clever about that later. So list offset. That should make it work, right? Huh. So I'm drawing, let's see, notes. Yeah, do the check first. Marco, the reason is basically the more time you spend, so you're basically building a draw list during the vertical scan of the frame, and when you get to the bottom, you're burning very valuable time where that's your only time where you can do graphical updates on the NES without causing a glitch. So you have to keep your draw list relatively short because you're cutting into like CPU time. There's a lot of stuff that has to share that time. So that's the short version of it. So the idea is that you want to set the draw up with the draw list ahead of time. I don't want to adjust the size of the list because then you have to like do a bunch of like assembly calls and stuff. So I could like, eliminate the entry and move stuff around, but like I think it's simpler to just say if the location is 0, then don't display it. So for some reason I've got this wrong though. So I want to keep the same stuff here. So what I'm thinking is, let's see, so pad down, we set the score up, we set note block, note 0 to 0, and okay, so list offset's going to start at 0, and if list offset is 0, should be a platform block. Okay, so you know what? I think that's the top left. I think that's the top left corner. Nope, that's not it. Okay, so what I was thinking was this, but no, it wasn't that. Can you do the if first before the I++? I mean, it is, right? The if is at the top of this loop. I'm not doing any increment before that. So the I should be 0 first time through. Let's see. I feel like you might be onto something though. Like, let's show if this thing is 0. Okay, so this should overwrite it every time, which is fine. When this happens, let's just in case you're right about like I'm off by 1 or something, let's just set the whole thing to a 0. Actually, not this one. Let's set the X and the Y to 0s. Maybe I'm missing something in this iteration. I have a feeling this isn't it, but whatever. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nope, all the note blocks are there. Except now we've lost that top corner. Yeah, something's funky about that top corner. Let's play with the second one. Yeah, let's go big. Okay, so it's not causing a draw update. Yeah, because I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm losing my draw list. I wonder if it's maybe where I'm doing this. This is clearly before the interrupt. Right, yeah, because the interrupt happens down here. Oh, I left myself a note. Only update it below the interrupt. All right, let's try that. Let's see if past guy... Hey, what's up, Jane? How you doing? Are you sure there is no delete or rewrite updating? I'm not sure, Marco. We're gonna have to figure out. Something is clearly awry here. Jane, we just totally crossed 100 subs. Carl Vandergeest just did it. Got a 100th sub. Whoa, it looks like a game now. I know, it's amazing how a couple monsters and a few colors suddenly transform it into starting to look like a game. How is it going, Jane? Are you having a nice Saturday? Joining us for a little code? But yeah, it is totally starting to look like a game. And check this out. You're going to love this. Like we have jump working, and we can jump onto platforms. And right now we're just working on picking up notes. So this, and we can jump through the top of the screen, which we're not worried about. And we can come down here. And we're not worried about enemy collision yet. So that'll be kind of our next topic. But first we have to figure out how to get these note blocks to disappear. And when I'm pressing down, this counter's going up. I'm using it for debugging at the moment. But when I'm pressing down, you know what I'm gonna do? Let's use it for more debugging. So right now we're displaying score, but we know that works. So instead of, actually, we're going to display score, but instead of that, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to change the score anymore on down. Instead, I'm going to display what's in the first block, because I'm worried that there's something funky here, like what Marco is saying. So I'm just going to leave myself to do put the score back. All right, so let's drop that, and let's go with working score is going to get the notes block 0. So we're going to see whatever happens to be sitting in block 0. Okay, so let's get our debugging right. All right, so we do that, and we make it. We run into trouble on define symbol notes. That's fine, probably because I did define it below. This is notes here, so I'm just going to drag this up. Actually, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this, well, all right, let's worry about that later. All right, here it is, so I'm going to drop it over here for now. So it's defined. Okay, so right now 33 is shown up. I press down, it changes to 0. Okay, so our one shot is firing, so it definitely has to do with the way we're redrawing the list. Okay, that's good to know. Erotzenplot, hello, guten Abend. Actually, I guess it's guten Morgen. Congrats. Hey, Ethrix, how's it going? It's been a minute. How have you been? Yes, how have you been? I haven't seen you in a while. It is, well, the NES game is starting to look like a game. So what we need to do now is get these B blocks to disappear. Okay, it is still Guten Abend. Oh yeah, it's late over there. I'm totally screwing up. Okay. Yeah, all right, nice. Okay, so isn't that a 0-0 block? So Marco, are you referring to this block here? This is 0-0? And yes, it is. Oh, it's erasing the corner block. It's not erasing the block I was on, it's erasing the corner block, which is not what I want. Okay, so yeah, that's not going to work at all. So writing over the location means that we don't know where to put it anymore. So that's no good. That's totally not going to work. That's our bug. Leak code, upper left. Man, I've just been on a leak code grind trying to get internships, and my oh my, it's tough out there. Yeah, Ethrix, I hear you. It is tough out there. You just, head down, just keep at it. It's like so much of like internship job, all that stuff. It just has to do with stuff that's like just happens to be going on in the market at the time. So if you just keep applying, keep your head up, like you'll get work. I'll tell you this, like software is going to be only in more demand in the future. So it's going to hit sooner or later. I think there's no question. Maybe I'm too much of an optimist, but having been through 2 major software crashes and a couple economic crashes as a professional programmer, programming's not going anywhere. I'll tell you that. I mean, if you spend a little time, you can always get at my worst, I was temping, doing Excel work. I mean, sometimes any experience is better than doing nothing, but that's not always true. but to some extent, like sometimes you just get like kind of out of it if you're just, always stuck, I'd say stuck in the house, but everyone's stuck in the house right now. But, it helps to get energized by being in some sort of workplace sometimes. And I'm going to guess that like hiring and internships are probably going to dry up just, again, totally unrelated to you, just economics dictating that, you know, everybody's losing jobs right now and paychecks are few and far between. But that doesn't mean those jobs aren't out there. It just means that the economy is sort of structurally reshifting. And this is a whole much longer stream, and I probably shouldn't get into it right now. When can I upload your programming experience into my brain? Nice. Nice, 715. Although I think Marco gets the credit for putting me on the right track on that last one. We'll prove that in a moment. I ask Guy this all the time. Jane, you're very kind. Yeah, you set the address via significant bits. So once you set it to 0, you both, yeah, I'm moving both parts to 0. I'm pretty sure that's probably what's happening. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna fix it. And the way we're gonna fix it is we're gonna burn more memory. So I am going to go with, let's not split this. So I'm just gonna go with a very simple scheme for the moment. I'm gonna burn some more memory, and we'll worry about bit packing it later. Sort of like what I did with the level design, but for now we can just show it. Because we could really put this all into one single, you know what, why don't we just do that? Screw it. It's live coding, isn't it? Notes collected. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna set this to so we're gonna go with, there's 6 of these, right? And you know what, I don't want to, I'll bit pack it later. I don't think that this version of C supports bit structs, so I have a feeling that I'm gonna have to actually like do the bit math myself. So before we do that, let's just burn 6 locations, and we'll assume that it's all 0, right? What else could it be? Of course, it's not. All right, so good enough. That's our notes collected. So let's just make sure that I haven't committed any grievous compiler sins in the meantime. All right, so we make that. Yep, we're still good. Then let's go here and go back to our pad down, and let's change our trigger to Sharon. I'm not actually sure how to, Charon, or it could be Sharon, or Charon, like Chiral Greek, moving into the underworld. I'm not really sure how to go with that, but thank you, however it's said, for the follow. I much appreciate it. Oh, I wasn't sure if that was a hard and fast rule. Oh no, what happened? Oh, hey. Try joining Blind App and asking the tech community for references. Huh, interesting. Good thing it's NES. Lots of memory, right, Marco? I know, right? Tons of memory on an NES, like a K. So, Jane, I can't get an account because it requires a work email. Ah, okay. Yeah, I don't know what to say there. If you want to tell me how to pronounce it, though, K Sharon, then I will try. Okay, so we're not going to do this anymore. What we're going to do is we're going to go on notes collected and set that to 1. We're going to say that that note was collected. And what I'm going to do in the display, and I'm going to learn how to spell display too, is display. Display score, we're going to now tie this not to note 0, but we're going to tie it to notes collected. Oops, because I like having debugging. It's so much easier when you can see your debugging, right? All right, so we're going to tie it to that, and we should be good to go. All right, so now I haven't actually given myself a trigger to make that disappear, but now I've got the score connected up right, so it is now moved to 1, so we know that that note has been collected. So now we need to get a little fancier with our if case. So in our draw notes, we're sort of running through and we're saying if the offset is 0, but we don't want if the offset is 0. We want if the note collected, which at the top of our loop is going to be wrong, but I'll be right. No, it won't. I is going to increment by 2. Damn it. I have no counter that I can use here. Okay, so let's just worry about optimization later. So this is basically notes collected, sub, it's not list offset. Let's just burn another variable because we have tons of memory. And I'm going to say that J is 0, and then we'll just pop J up every time. So J moves on every loop iteration. All right, keep it simple. Okay, we turned every note blue. Sweet. That's not exactly what we meant, is it? So if it's 0, we want if it's not 0. Okay, so if it's equal to 1, turn it into a thing. So we'll do that. Okay, so all our notes are there. We press down. One of them turns into a blue block. Sweet. Okay, so that is now doing the right thing. Except we don't want it to turn into a blue block. We want it to turn into a black block. So let's load up our PPU and take a look at where we have an empty block. Oh, we have one right here at 0. So we're going to use 0. So instead of that, let's just say that it becomes a black block. So now we don't have to change the coordinates at all on the draw list. We'll just change that to a 0 block. So let's try doing this. Press down. Now we're going to watch this block here to see if it disappears. Press down. It disappears. Nice. Okay, now we have to tie that to the location of our player. That's how we get it. Okay, so why for condition instead of while? Thinking Pizza, I'm guessing you just joined the stream. The only reason why is because at first I started off by incrementing manually in the loop and defining in the loop, and then I realized I can't do that. And the reason I can't do it is because I was using this style syntax earlier, like, you know, where you define the thing right there and then you set it. This was sort of a borrow for like local block scope. That was added to the C standard later. You're not allowed to do that. You have to actually define it up here. And then I said, well, if I'm going to define it up here, I might as well set it to 0 because, you know, it could potentially fit into BSS RAM, save myself a few instructions. So that eliminated that part of it. And then I realized I was moving by 2 for the second part of it. So it's going to turn into a while is the moral of the story. But, oh, and Thinking Pizza, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Hopefully that made sense. It's not that like I meant to write a for loop with just a condition. It's just evolved that way. Yeah, that's live coding. There's all sorts of nasty stuff that happens with live coding. If all of you don't mind, I'm gonna just go fill up. I'm thirsty and I'm like coughing a lot, so I'm just gonna go. I'm not sick or anything. Just one of those days. I'm gonna go just grab some water. So I'll be right back. Whoops. Okay, sweet. Yeah, that's Thinking Pizza. Yeah, they've got you in chat. It's basically, it's an old C compiler. I wanted to say it was a GCC derivative, but like really long time ago. No, it wasn't. Actually, it was a ground up rewrite. It's called CC65. cc65.org. Oh, they stopped maintaining it in 2013. So it still works. This page clearly hasn't changed in a long time, but it is it's kind of forked from this tiny compiler, Thomas. I want to say it was Thomas something. No, I guess it's not here. It's nice because it allows you to do C programming for a lot of the 6502 platforms that are out there. So, you know, it'll just assemble, but it's not a modern C compiler. It's not a heavy optimizing compiler. It doesn't do any of the stuff like GCC will do, like unrolling loops and stuff like that. Like the optimizations are very minimal. And it's not fully conformant to like modern. It's like I want to say it's mostly C89, but it's not like, hasn't been through conformance tests or anything like that. Oh, okay. Yeah, I had a feeling like somebody had picked it up. I just don't remember. Yeah, I feel like it's, but so you get like these. This is the 6502 family of systems. So you got like the Apple IIe, the Apple II Plus, all that stuff. Those are 6502. You can do Atari games. The layout, I mean, what changes is really the support hardware. You know, the actual processor. It's the same MOS 6502 in basically all of these. Or like in the case of the NES, they knocked it off and they changed two meaningless instructions, so they didn't have to pay the patent fee. But whatever happened back in the day. So this just lets you write C, and it also includes a nice assembler. The C program actually compiles it to. So here I'm writing in this main.c here, but it'll drop a assembler out. This is your 6502 assembly, and it'll show you like which line of C turned into which lines of assembly. And if you want to hand tune it, or if you want to move the stuff, you want to link between like assembly and C, there's some nice conventions for doing that. It's just a little more pleasant than writing everything in assembly. Yeah, that's C64 is just pog. Green Jenny, yeah. That's awesome. You're like, yeah. Oh, it's totally cool, Thinking Pizza. I actually, if you want to see like a little more, I do like a complete write-up on my blog here when I did Netflix on the original Nintendo. Actually, I think I have a command for that. Yeah, I do. Cool. It's part of a challenge when I was working at Netflix. I was arguing that we could support any platform, and I figured like if I got video working on the Nintendo, that would make the point, and it did. It's no CPM for C128. Green Jenny, you sound like you know your way around some of these computers. That's pretty awesome. By the way, for those of you who are new, if you haven't joined the Discord, we'd like to talk about things like this. Yeah, very refined. I mean that. I agree. CPM, Errolts and Plots. Errolts and Plots, by the way, is doing a interesting ARM build of FreeBSD, although I think he got that to work, so he's probably moved on to the next. He had a multi-core ARM 64 build. I think he did it on a Raspberry Pi, I want to say. It was like a 4-core something. That was pretty neat. I watched part of that. Yeah, it's totally running. You had the HDMI working, serial driver. I mean, like pretty decent support, actually. I don't know. We never talked about if you got the hardware compression, the VPU stuff working, but those are binary blobs from Broadcom anyway. Hopefully I didn't miss other stuff, but yeah, it just so. But yeah, long story short, Thinking Pizza. I don't have a full modern C compiler. But that whole line with the for loop, that's just live coding disaster. So for those of you who don't know, I'm quite vocal about this on the live programming community, that I feel like if you get 10 lines of code delta per hour, you're above average. Like a lot of streams I watch, you don't even see 10 lines turn over. And I joked about this with Anthony Writes Code. He's like, 10 lines of code an hour? I get 10 lines of code a stream, and I'm thrilled. And granted, he's working in Python, which is way denser, so you can do a lot more in a single line. But still, I mean, it's tough to live code. If you've never tried it, give it a shot sometime. It's pretty fun. I'll redo a cross-compiled AMD 64. Nice. You know what I miss? Blog rolls on people's blogs. Yeah. Green Jenny, I do hope you come over to the Discord. We're going to have things to talk about, I can tell. I'll redo my website blog when I need to look for a job. Yeah, totally, Jane. I was actually redoing mine with this Hugo template, mainly because I linked it off the Coding with Some Guy, and I met with the graphic designer. And, I paid a graphic designer, freelancer to do the design for Coding with Some Guy. And I was like, yeah, I want to link this to my blog, and that'll be cool. And she looked at my blog and she was like, oh God, no. And that's how this happened. So I just, I felt like to not be embarrassed and be able to look her in the eye, I needed to update the blog. So that it wasn't a job that was the motivation this time. It was embarrassment with this website starting to look good. For those of you who don't know, you can come to the Coding with Some Guy website. I post most of the series that I do. So this was building a streaming engine from scratch. I used to work at Netflix, so I kind of go into all the different parts of doing online video streaming. The show has random hacks. Currently, I finished the C class with Jesse. This is on Tuesday nights for the Learn. And the Python from scratch is currently on hold. The programmer is a little bit occupied with some life stuff, so we put Python on hold. But the entire C course, if you're interested, I don't think Jenny needs this at all, but based on what Jenny is mentioning in terms of systems. But those of you who might be interested in learning a little C, I don't start from this is a variable and it can change. I don't start from there. I assume that you've done some programming and you want to learn C. Maybe you want to do some direct memory management or whatever. In the case of Python, I make no assumptions. So for the Python from scratch, I'm just assuming you're just getting started with programming. Do a Rust course. Knock it off, Jane. Sending mail over FidoNet. Nice. Do an OCaml course. I haven't done OCaml in years. All right, we got the trolls are out. The trolls are definitely out today. All you need to do is one line of APL code per stream, and you're ahead of most people. Nice one, Green Jenny. Green Jenny, do you stream? I would love to check out the kind of code you're talking about. I don't know if you do, but let us know if you do. Yeah, FidoNet, UUCP. I mean, it's bygone era stuff. Maybe we're gonna have to bring some of that stuff back for some fun hackery. I built OCaml on a stream by hand. It was fun. Yeah, I mean, if you're up on your OCaml, I haven't touched OCaml. I mean, I did very little camel programming, and I'd forgotten everything I knew. But I mean, it was interesting. It was it was very different mentally. Mental model was very different from a lot of the Algol C derived languages, but I wouldn't feel confident doing it. So maybe we could do a live learning stream or something with Camel. But yeah, and then we've got the no regex. Nice one. Nice one, 715. Unsafe. Oh, that's good. FidoNet is still online. That's amazing. I have not heard the word FidoNet in years. And it was modem. I mean, it was UUCP-like. I mean, just, without the internet stuff. I mean, the compiler. You built the compiler. Nice one, Errol. It's in plots. Guy likes functional programming. Okay, here we go. The trolls are all out today. You guys are dipping into my 10 lines of code an hour, so you're going to get me in trouble here. Okay, let's go back to our Nintendo game. We were collecting notes, and we turned them black, so looks like they disappear with our background. We have this again, we're just wasting some memory. We could compress all of that. Whatever. We're not worried about optimization right now. We have tons of memory, as Marco and I were saying earlier. There's tons of memory on an NES. So we press down, the note block disappears. Okay, so, well, we could either design a note, and we could get a real note graphic, or we could, well, you know what? Let's actually worry about the programming part of this. So let's do the collision. So let's go after you run into a note we make it disappear. So none of this like pressing down collects the notes for you stuff anymore. Yeah, updating the scores, that already works. It's really just a matter of making the, I'm not allowing you to collect more than one block here at the moment. So let's update the scores. Let's go with the don't mess with Zoding.js. I haven't seen much many Zoding streams, but I do notice that he's got some pretty great emotes. Are sharps and flats implemented? Oh, my 100th subscriber, Carl Vandergeist, also joining the trolls. Zoding.js. Guy likes the... What about PHP? I actually don't hate on PHP that much. I feel like the PHP community has done plenty to destroy itself. But like when I have to program, I mean, Rasmus was just trying to build some reasonable tools when he was... I managed to overlap with him when I worked at Yahoo. But unfortunately, he was in the California office and I was in Hong Kong, busy dealing with the Alibaba split off, which, Yahoo! Okay, not going to get into that. But anyway, I did not actually get to meet him in person. I really wanted to meet him in person. I got to Silicon Valley later, but it took me years to get out of Hong Kong. As Jane knows, I got trapped in Hong Kong for a while. PHP isn't that bad. Yeah, the problem with PHP is the same problem with every modern giant. Yeah, the barrier of entry is too low. That's pretty decent summary. I mean, on the flip side, I like that the barrier of entry is, I want people to be able to program if they want to program. The downside is what the definition, like unlike most other fields, there's no real notion of like this person can safely design a house, right? Versus this person can safely program a mission critical system. And I'm going to crack myself up thinking about the label. Anyway, it's not really PHP itself. There's inconsistencies in the language, but that has to do with its sort of bolt-on approach and some of the stuff Rasmus was dealing with. And then he's just like, all right, whatever, I'm washing my hands of this. I'm out. Taking these Yahoo shares and running. You got to work with robotics while you were... I loved Hong Kong. Don't get me wrong, Jane. Sorry, and everybody, don't get me wrong about like... I enjoyed. By trapped, I mean I originally went to Hong Kong for 2 weeks, missed my return flight, came back 10 years later speaking Cantonese. Like, I mean, that's the short version of the story. So none of it was planned. None of it, I didn't mean to be working on robotics in Hong Kong or traveling around China or running into Jane and writing iPhone apps or all this other stuff. Like, the short version is I didn't know anything about Hong Kong. It had never come up in my life before where I grew up. And the next thing you know, I went there and I was like, I missed the flight. I'll catch the next one back. And I don't even know how to explain this. I was so guaylo when I was there. It was so unbelievably guaylo kind of move like that. I went to the airport. And the Hong Kong airport's amazing, by the way. It's beautiful work of art. It's like very efficient. I wish airports worked like that in general. But anyway, I went to the airport and I was like, yeah, I missed my flight. Why are there so many people here? And they're like, you missed your flight. And I'm like, yeah, I'll just get the next one. The ticket's good for like, however many days. Like I'll pay the change fee. It's my bad. I didn't mean it. That had to do with partying a little bit too hard, which happens in Hong Kong. and so I was a little hungover speaking to the person, and they were like, what do you mean next one? Like, I was like, yeah, I'll just get on the next one. They're like, what do you mean next one? It's Chinese New Year. Listen, white boy, there's not another next one for like a month. And then my ticket was invalid. And then I was like, when am I going to see this? And then, forget it. Long story. It becomes a very long story after that. But I was in stealth art. Don't play into that narrative. I'm not a spy. There's no spy shirt version. I want to know. Give us the shirt version. There should be a shirt. There should be. We could wrap that up into a shirt. I got into the robotics later, but that's a different story. What was? Oh no, it wasn't Old Hong Kong Airport. That's Eraltz and Platz knows his stuff. That there was an old airport in Hong Kong, and they put it like this is called Kai Tak Airport, and it was like they put it kind of near a mountain, and at the time there was no like buildings over there, but they ended up like putting it there, and like the city grew around it. So pretty soon planes had to like come in, do a right turn, drop down really fast, and then go into this glide path between buildings to land on this like really short runway. So as Hong Kong suddenly like grew into like this big economic powerhouse, the pilots used to say, if you can land in Hong Kong, you can land anywhere, like, because it was the most impossible airport. When they redesigned it to Hong Kong International Airport, unbelievable. They took all the lessons of the past and they were like, okay, we're going to just build an awesome, like, efficient airport, and it's just this wonderful airport experience. Yeah, Kai Tak was a death trap, totally. That's you. I mean, there's photos of this thing that are like unbelievable. Like, they look photoshopped. They're not photoshopped. Just for reference, like, let's old Hong Kong airport comes right up. Kai Tak. This is what it's like to land in Kai Tak. Okay, just for reference, that's not photoshopped. Okay, like that's real. Like, you had to cut between these buildings and like drop onto a runway. It's unbelievable. Like, the pilots that could pull this off, but they were super skilled. Safety 100%. Yeah, there were surprisingly few airport incidents there, considering how dangerous it was. Like, it's unbelievable. They had to like literally like cut past this mountain, then drop down, and then like, crazy. No, Kai Tak was already gone by the time I went to Hong Kong, so I'm a little sad that I didn't get to actually see this, but you will see these photos. Like, people have these great photos blown up on their walls, like around Hong Kong, of like what it was like landing in the old airport. That's a testament to the engineering more than anything else, yeah, especially for people underneath. Unbelievable. Imagine a problem with thrust delivery right when you're... Yeah, no, I know. I mean, I'm knowing a little bit of the history, I'm surprised there was not more accidents. And so Air Altenplatz definitely knows what he's talking about when he mentioned like the old airport. But looks like those videos, people are on the beach behind the engines of a huge bone. Oh yeah, totally. But I mean, this nuts. I mean, they just like, I mean, this is not photoshopped. This is real. That there's a... You know, I can't even, like, last week we were watching a slow moving train wreck. I feel like in the same series we can't watch this. Like, we need to watch this at another time. But basically, like, this plane is legit going to land. Like, here, I'll just get it for all of you to check out. You can check this out. It is just, but no, modern HKIA looks nothing like it. It's just, yeah, it's this beautiful design. It's very efficient to get to and from it. Yeah, you can see, like, the whole area is just really, really nice. But I actually briefly stayed with a friend in one of these towers, like kind of overlooking it, in Caribbean coast it's called. There's this, anyway, I don't want to talk about Hong Kong. I can't travel now. I miss Hong Kong. But yeah, wasn't planned. Moral of the story. So back to the NES. All right. Yeah, terrible. I know. I'm running basically no extensions, by the way. So, yep. Okay, we're good. Now back to the coding. Let's get our 10 lines before that hour runs away on me. Doesn't everyone browse kinky stuff on streaming computer? Come on. All right. Okay, so what are we doing? We were going to collect notes. I forgot where we were. Where were we with collecting notes? Okay, so right, we're pressing. All right, we need to do collisions. All right, so let's make it that you can only hit a note on a left. so we'll just save a little processing power for the moment. So we're going to go with, this is draw notes, and we're going to go with, this is pad left. So let's just start building around pad left. So when I press left, this is some of the falling stuff. We don't care about all that. We're going to leave it. We know collisions kind of work now. So down here, let's say check note collision. Probably just do this once. We don't need to do it on pad. We could do it every game loop. Well, all right, whatever. Let's start simple. All right, so we're going to check our note collision, and so I'm going to go with the dirt simple implementation first. See how long we can get away with it. Let's go with check note collision, and this is live coding. We're going to code. We're going to code something. All right, so we're going to say, yep, let's go back to that I. I think I have a, you know, now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like I have a general I available. Space I. Nope. Okay, I don't. You could probably use the same counter for most of this stuff, but whatever. I'll burn some stack memory because we have tons of memory. Okay, so I is 0. Let's say that we're going to traverse through. I'm going to really use it this time. You know what? Just for thinking pizza, I'm going to really use it. We're going to legit use this for loop. Okay, so this is less than, what is this less than? This is less than, where's my notes? Num notes. Okay, so num notes. And there you go. Really using the for. No crazy for loop. This is how it started last time. It was a legit use, and I just got carried away. Okay, so let's say that we're going to go look at notes collected, and we're going to say if notes collected of I is 1, then just get out of here. All right, so we'll just keep moving along, and we're going to say, now we have to translate here between sprite coordinates and tile coordinates, because the tiles are assuming 8 by 8, so it's like tile 1, tile 2, tile 3. The sprites are using pixel coordinates, so it's saying like, you know, location 2 is really part of tile 1. So suggesting noise gate. Noise gate? Oh, do it. You mean like we need some music? Oh. Oh. Sorry about that. Let me maybe move the mic. Help pull that away a little bit. Yeah, let me know if that's happening. I really got to do something about the audio setup here. Does anyone? Yeah. Okay. So if you're talking about the keyboard sounds, I like them, so we're keeping those. But maybe they're too loud. Yeah, I am probably getting carried away and smashing the tape. I'll try not to do that as much. Yeah, keyboard sounds. I love the sound of the kinesis is great. Okay, I'm gonna not see. I put it down gently that time. Okay, so let's go with, what were we doing? So we're saying we're going to rip through, and so we've only got live notes at this point. So we know that the note is live. And what we need to know is the character in the same place as this note? And we'll use a tile for collision. So I think the easy way to do that is, I mean, we have a choice. We can either take the character and put the character into tile coordinates, or we can take the tile and put it into character coordinates. Going from tile to character is going to be a multiply. Actually, it'll be a shift. So that's going to be really fast. So let's go that way. Actually, you know what? That's not true, because going the other way, it's going to be a shift anyway. But the NES only has a shift in one direction for arithmetic operations. There's a rotate, but we don't care about sign because we're using unsigned stuff. So you know what? I'm thinking about optimization. We should just be coding. Okay, so let's go with, what did we decide? We're going to say that the pixel location, the pixel X, is really going to be whatever notes collected. It's not notes collected. It's notes. Notes oh, but this has that byte thing, doesn't it? Damn it. Okay, because I've got it in MSB, LSB format. Well, all right, we're gonna have to just deal with that. Or do I do that later? No, I do it right up front. Okay, so this is, yeah. Let's just pull up that macro real fast just to double check what we're into here. And that's right here in nestlib. Okay, it's just a shift 8. Okay, so this is MSB. Right, this stuff. Yeah, okay. So in the case of LSB, this is just a single byte. This is the low byte. This is the high byte. So we're taking that. So this is assuming we have a 16-bit value, and we're shifting it over. So that means that I can just assume that it's 2 bytes actually, because this will effectively mean that the top one will end up in a byte when I do MSB, and the second one will end up, because I'm burning the memory at the moment. So the fact that I'm being non-optimal helps me here. So that just means that the 8 is going to end up in the first byte and the 12 is going to end up in the second byte, I think. So let's just double check. So we'll say if, so that was like mental stack 3 levels. We're in trouble now. All right, so this will be like notes sub I, and that we're going to need to just leave it alone, and pixel y is going to end up with notes sub I plus 1, and both of these are going to be a byte value. So what I need to do to both of them is I need to assume that they're 8 bits. So I need to take the tile and multiply it by 8, right? Which is the same as shifting left 3. So I'll do that. You know what? Let's let the compiler doesn't optimize actually. So this thing, lost our music. Oh, back to the other songs again. Okay, so we'll go with the 3s and then the 2s. Oops, gotta learn how to spell there. Okay, so that's basically what I want. Yeah, because that's going to be left shift by 3 is going to end up multiplied by 8. It's the same as multiplying by 8. And left shift by 3 is going to end up multiplying by 8. So what we need to know is this close enough to the character? Oh no, LSB and LSD with NES. Nice one. The idea for Project LSD on LSB on NES. I'm not aware of that. Should you increase I by 2? No, in this case, oh, you know what? You're totally, hold on a second. No, I need to multiply I by 2. Because in this array, each location is 2. I mean, so like we can get around this by basically using separate counters, right? So we don't have to incur the multiplies are slow on a 6502. So I could just have J here, and I think they allow you to do multiple assignment in this compiler, but we'll see in a second. And what we'll do is we'll just keep incrementing J, because basically the notes array has 2 bytes for each note versus the notes collected array, which is 1 byte for each note, is what I'm trying to keep straight. No, you're generally, I mean, I had a bug in it the way I wrote it, so you're definitely in the right mental space thinking pizza, there's no question. Wait a minute, did you just catch one of my bugs on stream? You know what that means? I know what that means. Yeah, I know what that means. You just caught a bug. So enjoy your new emotes. So some of the best ones for programming Twitch. All right. At the moment, there's only one. That's because I'm still waiting for Twitch approval. There'll be more emotes later this week. What do you mean free Netflix subscription? I had to pay for my Netflix subscription. Yeah, that's Twitch, Marco. By the way, Netflix employees do not get, if you don't know this, they do not get free Netflix subscriptions. Okay, so we basically did our multiply by 8 on the right thing. And now we end up in pixel coordinates, and now we need to compare the pixel coordinates and say, like, all right, that they within 5 of each other. So we have to watch signs here because I don't think we haven't. Yeah, there's no ABS thing. No. Oh, I'm so upset that Wolf told you all about that. Jane was being very good in not mentioning it, but okay. So let's go with, all right. So if, you know, I'm going to actually make these real variables for the moment, but we can unroll this later. So we'll go with unsigned char, pixel X, pixel Y, because we have so much memory. Okay. So if pixel X. So what we want to do is basically like the sprite X position minus pixel X, and we want the absolute value of that from a sign calculation, but we can't really do that. So we're going to have to, you know, and then basically say that if that's less than 8, then good, right? So, and then we can check Y. So we could be lazy about it, because if the X check fails, then no point doing the Y check. The problem with doing this is that we can't actually do this math on an NES. So what we have to do is we have to say which one of these is bigger. And we need to swap them. That's going to get me in trouble, isn't it? Yeah, because I can't change the notes. I don't want to mutate the notes array. So we're going to have to burn some more memory. Compare, so we'll call it like player X and player Y. And so we can basically calculate pixel X, and then we can say if player X, and we'll start off player X is really just sprite X, and if player X is greater than pixel X, then we'll swap them. So we'll just say that pixel X, oh crap, we need a third variable, or we have to use that evil XOR trick, temp. Then temp gets pixel X gets, we can assembly this later, player X, and player X gets 10. Okay, so this guarantees that player X always has the bigger of the two. So actually the opposite, right? This guarantees that, so if player X is greater than pixel X, then we're swapping. So this guarantees player is always less than. Less than or equal to, which we don't really care about. So that just means that we won't have to worry about sign math. So, and then what we can do is we can say, because we can't do this ABS, then we can say pixel X, which is always going to be the bigger one, minus player X. If it's less than 8, then we'll allow the collision. So let's just do one of these for the moment. And of course, I don't have enough parentheses here. So this thing, yeah, do that, then that. Okay. If we want to be really fancy, then we'll do this with only adds because subtraction, there's no subtract. All right, so then we're gonna do that. So x's are near each other. So let's just do a single dimension check. We'll ignore the y dimension. We'll just say that notes collected, we're going to collect the note. So we're going to say notes collected becomes 1 and increment the score. Okay, so let's see what we did there. Okay. Undefined symbol J. I thought I defined J. Bad guy. Okay, J's defined. Well, that's not working. We're gonna fix that. Well, oh, see, that's why you have a sub, Thinking Pizza. Because you're right. I did forget to declare it, and it looks like I did forget to. What did I forget to do with J? I forgot to move it along, didn't I? Yeah, I did. So we can say, no, you know what? I did move it along. But now I'm also testing the Y because that's not going to fly, right? Because J always has to go up, whether or not we worry about it. So let's just do this by parts. We'll just say, all right, J gets moved up 2 in this case. Otherwise, if we're doing this and it doesn't hit, then we need to also move up J by 1. So that handles that case. And then in the case of Y, we'll just remember to move J up anyway. All right, so hopefully that's good. How is Nixie Solutions? NixieSoft actually has a decent website now, Marco. I don't think you've been back for a little since that happened. But NixieSoft has a website. It's, again, same issue with the graphic artist. Took a look and was like, you can't link this like the old version. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll put something better there. They're like, yeah, but don't you want more business? I'm like, no, I'm actually kind of blown out for the year. Like, I'm trying to keep not do too much more consulting, more than the stuff I'm already consulting on. Okay, so let's see what that does. Yeah, we're still not quite right. So let me check that logic a little closer. Okay, so let's think about this. We're starting off our loop. Oh, did I actually call this thing before I go too far in here? Okay, I am checking it, but I'm probably only doing it on left. Nice. Okay, so yeah. That. All right, we're gonna do that. Down here, we're just gonna always check every frame. We're gonna check for note collision. Shlomen, thank you for the follow. Shlomen. Panzizi, also thank you for the follow. I missed that. Okay, now we hit everything, so everything disappeared. Nice. Okay, well, that's a new routine. So we're testing on the X dimension. So clearly we can't hit every single X. So let's take this in steps again. So we're going to start with just the first one. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go with check note collision, and we're going to just terminate after the first one. So if it's equal to 1, well, we'll leave this in the case where notes collected is 1. That's fine. Let's do like the first one that's like live. Okay, so we're going to go through here, and this is whatever logic. Obviously, there's a bug in here, but we're going to say that we're just going to break out of this loop. So we're only going to run this one time that has a real chance of hitting. Okay, so we're still deleting way too many of these, so we gotta watch that. Oh, hey, and welcome everybody who just joined the Discord. That's cool. Let me throw you a quick wave here, and I'll throw you a quick wave, and throw you a quick wave. Oh, someone gave you 100. All right, I'll give you 100 too. Okay, so, right, what were we doing here? What kind of consulting do you do? Primarily performance optimization. So most of my contracts are related to, companies have written enough code and things are slow and they need it to be faster. I engage with all sorts of levels. Like it could be, really large companies like Netflix, where I was consulting a lot of video encoding or some of the other stuff that I was rambling about on the Discord the other day. Or it could be like much smaller operations, like you're going to hear about on Wednesday when Nora comes on the show, and she's kind of roping me into doing some consulting too. Which is more on, that's going to be some front end stuff, which, front end. But anyway, it's surprisingly hard to build a UI, I can tell you that. So anyway, but yeah, I'd say like the majority of the stuff is optimization related. Sometimes it's just general software, like look at our design and give it a stamp. There's like a medical device company I'm consulting for that's doing, I can't talk about what they're doing, but they need some embedded code to work pretty fast and do some stuff pairing up with some Android and iPhone smartphone applications. I don't think it's a problem, but you should uncomment the pixel Y. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt, but then I have to get rid of that J. So, you know what? In this case, I'm not incrementing J. So, you know what? That really does matter. Because, yeah, in that branch, I'm not doing it. This should be going up by J. J should be going up by 2 every loop. So, here, where J's hitting its first increment, so that's going to move it to the Y location. And then if we're in the collision, we're going to move it up here. And if we're not in the collision, then we're going to move it up by 1 anyway, which is fine because we only moved it up by 1 in the case of X. So we should be staying on safe boundaries to be looking into notes. Notes should be at the start of a note for each one. And this should only go as many times as there are notes, which I'm counting on I, and I is monotonic. So we're not screwing around with the value of I. So I don't suspect that, but definitely that was wrong in terms of the J++ line in that branch. Okay, so we seem to, every time we do this, we seem to get one more note back. We're at 3 now, so that's something very odd. Looking for a side project I can do. That is hard to do. I mean, I'm so blown out with side projects right now, I can't even contemplate. If you do want to check out more about the consulting, I have some very minimal details on the NixieSoft page, so you can go look at NixieSoft. NixieSoft has been very busy this year. Currently, I'm having a lot of fun switching accounting companies, so that's That, boy, paperwork. Let me tell you how much fun that is. Definitely rather be Nintendo coding, I'll tell you that. All right, so yeah, I know, Jane. I'm outsourced. I'm so glad that it's getting outsourced though, like on the accounting side. Like I'm just like, here, just shut up and take my money. was the last call. I'd been doing way too much of the bookkeeping. All right, so let's go. All right, so let's focus here. So we're getting 3 of these things, but let's assume that we get none for a moment. Let's eliminate everything and see if we are actually deleting this where we think we are. So in the case of this break, should have terminated the loop the first time through. So let's see what that does. Let's just get back to a sanity check here. Okay, so everything's there. So basically we know that it's that routine that's destroying our note blocks, but I'm really expecting it only to destroy the ones that are near where the player is. So something isn't right. So here in this case, let's see, player X greater than pixel X, put pixel X in temp, pixel X gets player X gets temp. Okay, so that should swap them correctly. And we're not seeing anything disappear. So let's do something different. If these two, well, let's just leave the value on the screen. I'm thinking, let's just set the score to pixel X minus player X. So that'll end up leaving 1 on the screen, which will be the first one. And then what we just need to do is get score hooked back up here. So let's go back into score. Score is currently taking this notes collected thing, but we're gonna not do that. We're gonna leave score back to score, and we're gonna run that. So this will leave the value that I'm comparing. Okay, and yeah, that's the distance, right? Because it's going to the first note block, which is like here, and this is where this is. So let's bump this up to a different note block. So our first note block is at 812, which was this one. So already we know that this number is wrong, because 812, so it should be comparing to the 8. Yeah, all right, let's debug this. I think MSB is not doing what I think it's doing. So instead of doing this, oops, let's do this. Let's get this value to be, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna get this. We're gonna block comment this, and let's just say that score is just pixel X. Okay, so let me get this here. And okay, so there's the 8. All right, so 8 is what we think it is. That's the tile location 8, which is good. So let's check the shift. So whoa, that's wrong, isn't it? Yeah, because notes 0. Okay, this is probably that block problem that we were dealing with before. Let's say that notes 0 is going to be the score. So I'm just going to hard code it to note 0. 33. Okay, that's not what we were expecting. So this thing is, I mean, we would have expected that to be 8, but actually it's showing us 33, which is basically times 4 plus 1. So hold on a second. I'm going to just make sure that's not altering anything here. All right, so we're going to go here. We're going to run this. Going to bring this up. Yeah, it's definitely 33. Okay, so let's go check that macro again. Yeah, 33. See, it's always something you don't expect. So what it's saying it's doing is it's taking X and it's shifting it over by 8. Now, hold on a second. We know that this number's right because it ends up in the right place on the screen. But shifting over by 8 is a whole byte. So if I'm dealing with a single byte value, I'm destroying the value. So how is this 33? Oh, it's the name table. It's not the actual location. Oh, crap. Oh, it's got the name table offset applied to it to know which name table to update on the memory. Oh, damn it. Okay, so we need to go back to our display notes. Our notes, draw notes. Was it draw notes? Yeah, it's draw notes. Okay, so here's our issue. I'm writing into the list the pre-computed value from notes, and that's bad. And the reason that's bad is because I want to reuse this value later for collision detect, which means I would have to know that it was in name table A, which is not really valid. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert this to like 812, right? And when I apply it for the list, then I'm going to do the math. So let's just save this. Let's save this as well. They're identical, aren't they? Yeah, because it's just to run through memory. Okay, so instead of that, what we're going to do is we're going to say that this first gets the MSB of name table address A, because it's the first bank, and we're going to shift it by this thing. Okay, so now I can't use my plus plus. So I'm going to do this thing and notes I plus 1, so it doesn't store the value. And then I'm going to do it again, but this time I'm going to do it with LSB, and I'll just explicitly say I gets incremented by 2. So we're not going to be fancy with our offsets anymore. And so that means I'm calculating it here at this time. Now that means I have to convert the rest of this table because this table is now wrong. So let's just get rid of that. Let's go with this is 115. This is 19.9. This is 2.4. And this is 24.5. And this is 27.11. Okay, so if we do that right, then the notes should all still show up in the same place. No, keep in mind I'm doing the wrong thing, so because I forgot to change it for the other branch. So this part is the same. The only thing that changes is that other block. Okay, cool. So let's go here and get out of here and rebuild that. Everything disappeared. Sweet. Okay, so that's nice. Interesting. So there's probably a math issue. I'm wondering around this macro. So let's see, notes I plus 1, notes I plus 1. MSB, LSB is the right order. Is there anywhere else? Yeah, because I'm taking notes I plus 1. Oh, these are unsigned char. Right, it's assuming these are 16-bit values. Crap. Okay. I'm trying to cleverly get my way around this, but there's really like no... It's like you can have it one way, but you can't have it the other. So we're actually going to have to do the math right. So if we look at the score, I didn't check the score the last time I ran it. Oh, okay, because we actually killed the score, because we probably obliterated the name table. So let's take a quick look here. And let's, not that. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely being overwritten. Yeah, okay, so I've gone and done something bad. Let's come back here. Okay, so for the moment, let's just assume that there's no notes collected. Oh, you know what? I didn't increment it because now I need to do that work because that might have gotten stuck on the name table. Yeah, okay, that was it. Okay, so now we're collecting the right address. Okay, so just because I don't feel like getting burned again on that damn thing, we're gonna see, this is what happens when you try to prematurely optimize. So we're gonna pull this out so that's just common code, and I'll handle the increment in here, which means that I don't, since it happens in both branches, I don't need to handle it in here. I can use my for loop. We can come full circle and make thinking pizza happy. Look at that, I didn't even have to use a while. Okay, so we get rid of that, we get rid of that, check it real fast because I'm not trusting myself at the moment. And yeah, looking good. Okay, so right, let's come here and let's get rid of all this nonsense. We can optimize later. And see, this, by the way, because I do so much optimization consulting stuff, I love writing non-optimal code as sort of a, it's like, that's a nice Saturday to me. It's like, I don't need to be optimal at this. Like, this could be nice and slow. I'm gonna waste cycles. Screw it. I'll optimize it later. Okay, cool. So now I have a good note reference. So let's check back to where we were, that value 8 is the value of the first one, and the first one is 8. Okay, so if I look at the second one, I'm being super careful now, and I apologize, stream, but I'm not trusting how many times I got that wrong. We were in the collision, our new collision note collider. So this was notes collected. We use that variable in there. It's right here. Okay, so notes collected. So we're just resetting the score, which is fine. Oh, you know what? I can get rid of that to do with the score. It's back. Okay, then here we are in draw notes, which is also fine. And here's check note collision. And so when we're in check note collision, we're just going to take a look. We're going to make sure that all the values are same. So we don't need all of them, but we need at least a few of them. So we do that. And yep, that's the 12. Okay, and then let's just make sure there's no more surprises. We'll just check the first one of the next entry, and we'll find out that 1. Okay, 1 is a scary number, but that's okay because 1 is the expected number. Okay, so that means that we're actually feeding the right value. So now we can go back to all our math that we were trying to do before. I'm going to leave the score up here. You know what we're going to do? We're going to go back to this, And so it turned out, yeah, see, it wasn't doing what I thought it was doing. We're going to say that score is now pixel X. That was actually the debug moment that showed us what was kind of going off. All right, we're going to quit this and we're going to run it. Okay, so 64. Okay, 64 a good value. 64 is 8 times 8. So let's check it with a better number. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll just leave it for the moment. We're gonna just test. We're gonna go back to testing just the first one. 64 is right. If I just bump it down, I don't like the fact that it's 64. So let's make this a 7. So we're expecting that this ends up 56. And it is. Okay, cool. So we are doing the math right on pixel X now. Okay, so we come back to the difference, which we were looking at. So let's get back to this. This was guaranteeing that one was smaller than the other, and then we're setting the score to the distance. So this is the absolute value of the distance. And yeah, it changes. So as I come here under this note that's right here, we notice that it's within 8, and when I get farther away from it, it gets farther, which is exactly what we want. Okay, so sweet. Okay, so that means that we're actually targeting the right one. So, wow. Oh, no need. Yeah, sprite X is just, it's the X value of the top left location of Bitboi. I'm using this as like the sprite X, sprite Y was here. I wrote that when I first was writing this thing, so I never bothered to like rename the variable to the player. It's still called sprite X. He was actually only a single sprite at that point. It wasn't a 2x3 like we've got now. So nice. Let's go mop up. So this was actually on the right track. We got score set. Now score is also always a positive number, which is a good thing. So when we go less than it, see we're on the left side of it, it's still positive, and we're on the right side of it, it's still positive. So we can now use this as a delta sort of distance, like epsilon distance. So we can say if it's less than 8, then you should hit the thing. Now I've completely forgot what we were doing with the J, but let's just say that if this one hits, we're gonna move J up here, so that means that we're moving by 2 J's, but otherwise we're just going to move J anyway, which actually means I can just move J at the bottom of the loop, but let's not optimize ourselves early. Okay, then this is following exactly the same formula we had above, except now instead of doing this, we're going to set Y. Well, this is actually just going to cause it to, like, we can just leave this pixel line here, but for fun, we're going to say that score is going to get pixel Y. So we can start checking that value. But we're going to assume that when we pass it on the X dimension, that we're going to collect the thing, and that's going to bump something up on score. Now, right now I'm using this for debugging purposes, so we don't want to actually increment the score. Okay, so that disappeared. Well, only one of them can disappear because we're only checking the first one. Okay, let's unleash that loop. Oh, wait, did we actually look at the Y value? I didn't even look. It should be, yeah, it only does it when it actually collides because it's in the if. And the answer was 8. What does 8 mean? The Y value should not be 8. Okay. So nodes J. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to forget about being silly with I'm just going to always do it. So pixel X, pixel Y are always set correctly, and then I don't have to worry about screwing around with J. So we're going to get rid of this, and score maps to J. I'm just going to move score to always being pixel Y, and we're going to make the thing disappear when it hits. Okay, now we're still getting the wrong number. $96. Okay, now we're getting 120. 72. Oh, it's actually doing it every time we're... Actually, I have no idea when it's doing it. Oh, it's every time it hits. It's up. What the? Okay. I don't think I have the right value there. What is that? All right, it's notes J++. Okay, but we're actually terminating. What the F? Okay, J, here we go. This is why J ends up being off. All right, we're actually moving it up. Every time there's a collected note, we're moving to another address. So that actually explains why that's doing kind of weird stuff. We're going to leave that in for the moment because I'm actually fine with it, but it was a little surprise. Now, at least now we know why. We're going to actually check all the notes. So let's go crazy. Rather than checking one, there we go. Okay, so that actually works in the case of the X collision. Now you'll notice we're taking a speed hit now because we're running a lot of code. So I'm feeling a little bit more lag on Bitboi, but that's all right. Yeah, 96 is, yeah. So we are doing the right thing in terms of value. I feel good about that. Let's start using it, right? So we're here. We've done pixel. All right. So this is our swap case. Now, so I can leave myself a to-do. Only do this if X hits. Call this a to-do opt. All right. And so these two hit, we're here. We're assuming that it always collects, which is not really what we want to do. We want to do pretty much the same thing that we were doing before. So I'm going to get rid of this change, which was a score change, and I'm going to dump the bottom here. So we have player X is picking up sprite X. This is sort of the start of the magic. So let's do the same magic, which is player Y is going to pick up sprite Y, and we do our little trick to guarantee that we have one greater than the other all the time, which is fine as long as we make sure that pixel X is now pixel Y, and same story, but player Y is now player X is now player Y. Okay. So of course I missed a line, but it'll be player Y is definitely less than pixel Y. Okay, so these are all operating on Y. There's no X's in here. I've done my swap, and let's store the score as our debug here. Okay, so this should update when I collide on an X. So if I go to something 191, 178, 125, okay. That's neat, but that's not really what I want. All right, so that just tells me that I need to subtract it, right? Which was actually like this line. All right, so we get that, except now this is Y and this is Y. So run that. And yeah. Okay, now it's only showing it actually in the case where it's at the time of collision, which is sort of like meaningless. But let's assume for the moment that it works, and then we'll debug it if it doesn't. So basically what that means is I want this check. So this thing is, if the distance between the two is less than 8, then we're going to assume it's a collision. And now we're going to actually credit the player. So we're going to say that this is what really happens here. You really happen down here. And this actually is where the score goes up. And we're going to say, and the Y's are near each other. So actually that should be in here, shouldn't it? And we're actually going to increment the score. Okay, so assuming I'm not screwing up the score, then the score should actually start working right. as we collect notes. All right, so now they don't disappear when I'm just under them. Okay, and score. No. Oh, it's the top left. That's never going to hit, right? If you're standing on it, you could never actually hit it that way. So we actually need to offset it a little bit. So we need to use a different hit box, different hit point. So let's move that down. What happens if you underflow? Instead of swapping, can't you just check that the difference is less than 8 or bigger than 247? That's fine, Thinking Pizza. I was just trying to keep this code simpler. I was nothing wrong with doing it that way. The comparisons, both of these are, I mean, this is not a very optimal way to do this. Like, I mean, we can rethink. First of all, we don't need to check for a collision like every frame. Second of all, like, I mean, so like, you're not wrong. I'm trying to go for like the clearer code version, which I guess to me this is like clearer because I want to write like the absolute value between the two and whatever. We could always assembly that later if we want. But I mean, your head's in the right spot, definitely. So yeah, our issue now is really with where that hitbox is. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to offset it. I'm going to say that sprite X plus, now we're talking about, there's 3 sprites high. They're 8 pixels a piece. So if I put the hit point down sort of like bottom center, like 7 pixels over and like, 24 pixels down. And I'll just multiply that out. So this will be like 3 sprites. Let's just say like 23. So it's somewhere like above the middle shoe there. He's got that shoe on his right foot. And we're going to move the X point by, I was going to actually do math, so I apologize for needless parentheses. This is not Lisp. And we're going to take the X and we're going to move it over by 7, which is most of one sprite. So that should put the hitbox down by the foot. Oh, is there a lurk command? I'm still new to Twitch, so I don't know what lurk does. You've been moved to the spy room. Terrible. All right, so let's see how we did. All right, we come over here. Oh, look at that! Oh, score's going up. 3, 4, 5, 6. Look at that. We have got it. Okay, that is awesome. Pog, I'm not feeling Pog, but that it took me longer than it should have. But it's programming. Thank you, though, my 100th subscriber, Karl Vandergeest. Actually, it sounds more Dutch than German, so I'm probably saying it wrong. Technology, yes, technology. It's the future, technology. All right, this is sweet. So we are totally colliding now with note blocks. That is fantastic. So let's throw a quick. I'm not going to code much more, but let's throw a quick, like, what would happen if you collected all the note blocks. So let's just say when you're here and you're collecting, just check. Well, the simple thing to do is if score is, I feel like this belongs more in the game loop, actually. Like, yeah, but then it runs every time. We don't really need it to run every time. We can just run it whenever this happens. So if this thing is greater than or equal to, why are you not working? What keyboard? What do you? Oh no, my keyboard is having issues. Let me reset that. Okay, cool. Keyboard is back to happy. Then let's say, so if score is greater than or equal to, what do we have? Num notes. Then, so we're assuming you collect all the notes. Then we need like a little win thing. Yeah. Let's just draw a background tile. I think that's the simplest thing to do. So we're going to go with notes. I'm going to do that. Yeah, because this will get overwritten. Okay, so I'm going to do this down here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little hack for today. We're going to say to do unhack this. Unhack the door opening screen. And for right now, we're going to say that list of 0 is going to get, let's get our MSB stuff right. List of 0, list offset looks like this. So we're going to say list of 0. I'm just going to hard code this in. Told you it was a hack. And list of 1 and list of 2 is going to be, I don't know, the block 1. And let's just say that this is LSB, and instead of notes, we're going to say that we're going to fix this location at, I don't know, 10, 10. Okay, so yeah, let's just do this, it's faster. Except then we need to do, that is L. All right, so let's go there. Okay, so let's win our game. 1, 2, 3. Oh God! I made a game I'm not good at. Oh, look at that! We got the thing over here. We totally have the thing. Let's put it where the door is, just for fun. Let's say that is. Okay, this is the location I want, so it's going to be here, which is, what was that, 3018. Okay, so this is like, what we really want is this thing at 30 and 18. Okay, so if we do that, and let's get fancy. For we're gonna need another variable. Oh no, more variables. No. All right. We're gonna call it list offset remove this. I'm gonna even put the word in there, so it doesn't highlight it. Damn it. Okay, whatever. So we're gonna say list offset remove this. So for list offset remove this to do, list offset remove this to do is less than num notes, and we're gonna make all the notes, right? So list offset remove to do is incremented. We're gonna manually increment it, aren't we? So it's really, this is why I ended up using 2 before. Damn it. All right, whatever. We're gonna, we'll handle it. That's terrible. Okay, so let's say that it's really this thing times 3, because there's 3 bytes at each location, and then we can keep our pizza man who thinks a lot very happy by taking this thing and adding 3 to it. Okay, so if we do that, and now we have a loop variable, then we can say that this thing is that thing, and this thing is that thing. I know I'm being silly right now, but I'm allowed to be silly. Let me be silly. Okay, it's that thing, and we're gonna say that it's this. Oh crap! I can't increment, can I? I want to say plus. Do I have an I? Is there an I in here? Yeah, there's totally an I in here. All right, whatever. Let's use an I. Okay, so we're gonna go by. I equals 0. I is less than num notes. There we go. Done. All right, so it's this thing plus plus, this thing plus plus, this thing plus plus. Now I have an I, so I can say this thing plus I. And that thing plus I. Done. Okay. Let's take a look. Oh, errors. What? What do you mean errors? Okay. Need to add a bit of animate. Yeah, all right, Fafi. That's a different stream. Oh yeah, cautious instead of the magic course. Yeah, I know. I'm totally being careful. I know I'm being ridiculous. Forgot I totally did. Yeah, I did. That's it. Man, give this man a sub. Actually, I don't know you're a man. Give this thinking pizza a sub. Okay. So let's win our game. Let's win it. Can we win it? Are we able to win it? Oh! Woohoo! Party time! Party time! We're partying. We're partying. We can't go through the eggs. I don't care. Party! Party! Bitboi! Party! Whoa, wait a minute. We totally forgot one. Oh, well, we're off by one. Whatever. Ship it. All right. I think this is going to be the spot where we're going to wrap up today's stream. We are definitely getting close to a game here. I know there's unforgivable optimizations I didn't make. So we're going to have to deal with that off by one. That's probably the equals. That's probably what that is. It's actually the equals. I'll bet. You know what? We're gonna do one more thing today. We're gonna do one more thing. Okay, so score is greater than num notes. Yeah, because I increment by. This seems wrong. This seems very wrong. Ship it. Just ship it. Chat says ship it. Ship it. All right, so we're gonna let's get crazy. Let's do the thing, and let's play the game. And I need to make my game easier for testing. And let's do the thing. Oh, now we can't win. Okay, so turned out that was important. So I have no idea why that happened, but it turns out it's not that at all. So we're gonna stay with our logic that was right, and we're gonna go in. It's getting drawn even if it's collected. Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. Is it because I'm probably off by one somewhere? So there's the win, but it's still staying drawn. So that was actually there when I didn't realize it. So I do set it for this. I am setting notes collected. I'm not. Look, I'll deal with that. If there wasn't an off by one, I mean, it's not real programming, right? Come on. Like it's if you're always on, I don't know, what are you like writing in Rust or something? I don't know. That's terrible. Okay, so anyway, I want to thank everybody who stopped by today. I want to tell everybody, if you do want to talk about the off by one and where this because I'm sure I'm going to find it later, and I'm sure I'm going to be posting it all over the Discord. So in case you're curious, join the Discord. You'll hear all about it when I find it at some odd hour. Complex logging system, James, at NES. Where am I going to log? There's no memory. All right, so I think this is a pretty good stopping point. We're gonna call it a day here. I'm gonna go do a bunch more stuff off screen because I really want to get to putting this thing on chips. And really, all that's left major wise is maybe a couple different levels, maybe like a real level. Like I just sort of drew this as like a jumping test. So a little bit of work that's done in the art tool, Pico Pixel I was using. The cats, the monsters, the schlorps, they need to move. So we need that, and we need hit from that. We need some sort of notion of health. So we're gonna need like a couple hearts. That's not a lot. It's way simpler than the general collision. There is a collision between the cat and us, so we'll have to test for that. But that pretty much the same kind of stuff here, so I'm probably not even going to stream that. I might just bang that out later. We'll see. We'll see how that mood takes us. For those of you who don't you want sounds? Come on, forget it. That's the dude is a video game musician. Like, I mean, he can play the music, right? Yeah, I don't think that's gonna work. The sound hardware is a little bit tricky on the NES. I'm not sure I want to go down that rabbit hole because we really have a lot of projects to do. So I'll probably cut the first version of it. Might not even have sounds. Maybe just a simple jump beep or something, and then we'll call it a day. But anyway. This was a good session. I want to thank all of you for hanging out. It was super cool. It was great to have you here. That is awesome, M. Jewel. Thank you for continuing the gift sub that you got. That's really nice. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's great. So we'll be back in business today. Let's see, Saturday. We're back on, there is a regular streaming schedule. It's down in the notes. I actually added it to the bot so you can all see it, schedule. And yeah, so the next session that's coming up is going to be Tuesday night, and that'll be with Jessie. We're going back to graphics programming. I'm teaching her a bit about, we're doing graphics primitives and how you do that with like raw memory in C. We're not doing it on the NES. We're doing it, this is like sort of after the Learn C as an additional language course. We're sort of on an in-between, having some fun with some project work. That's a very fun stream if you've never been there. We do the first half of it as lesson, and we do the second half of it as scotch and whiskey and bourbon, and that's fun. Otherwise, Wednesday night is going to be another big interview night. I've got Nora Jones coming on the program. Yes, really, Nora Jones is coming on the program, and I had to do some optimization work for her to help talk her into that, or at least talk about optimization work. So anyway, Nora, let's all be good hosts for her. Nora is a fantastic presenter. She's like just very inspirational. So that's part of the Power Hacker series on Wednesday nights. And I think probably one more BitBoi stream is it. I think we're done. I think we're shipping it, whatever state it's in at that point. Anyway, thanks everybody. I will see you later. Have a safe weekend. Social distancing, wash your hands, have fun. Make sure you register to vote, all that. You've heard it a million times. See you later. Thanks for hanging out.